Welcome back. It's a little bit overdue, but Sirius and I have somehow found two people this time who were unfortunate enough to join us. Those being V Lightrose Kohler and Aiden Happy Connolly, who are both tier 2 casters, and one of whom is half of a long-running joke we have on the podcast where we say that we can bully Happy because his casting partner is my co-host for this podcast. But now he's here to defend himself with a sign behind him that I just noticed says fucking man cave.
Dude, the background in this room is crazy. Like, this is the only room I have in my house that I can cast from. And it's literally just, I put up none of the things in this room. Shout out to Sirius remembers the time that my mom was on stream in the background.
That was such an amazing moment. Oh my god.
And then V captured me going like this and got a banger tweet out of it.
I almost said I didn't bring highlight to that in the moment, but wow. I digress.
Yeah, no, I need a better casting room. But yes, this does say man cave.
So we have prepared some questions to ask you two, and the first one I wanted to ask, right, is how's ranked?
Like competitive ranked right now?
It was a throwback to the other one that you guys did together.
Oh yeah, the other podcast that I think it was Shifty and Thrill, where
none of the questions were about casting.
I have played. You can look up like my stats on, and I have played about like 5 collective games of rank in like 3 years.
Yeah.
I just don't like the only way that I play Siege is I play with people, and nobody wants to play rank because why would you want to play that when you're just playing to have fun?
That's true.
I enjoy some ranked. I partake.
Yeah, but you also enjoy Staff Hub, so I don't
listen.
Staff
Hub is a great time.
Staff Hub
is debatable.
Like gambling, really.
And gambling is awesome.
You either get the biggest death stack ever, or you get the biggest vibers, and you'll still lose, but it'll have fun.
You'll have a great... Wow. My favorite game is still when I was with Tango. We just talked about whiskey for an hour while we lost.
Dude, my favorite Staff Up game was we somehow managed to get like me, Fellow, Zay, Zay was on the other team. Jazz was on the other team. It was me, Fellow, actually Fellow might have been on the other team too. I don't remember, but it was literally just like a stack of people I was actually friends with. And then Last Fire, who guys on the terrorist list, but he's other than he was still new, so he wasn't fully like trolling yet. But we had just like an actual team, and it was like an 8-6 on border. And it was just like an actually competitive game, but the whole lobby was my friends. And so we would just insult each other every time someone killed anybody else, and it was the best.
During the brief lifetime of Mossy Tens, I was watching a game that Sirius was in, and he called a play and then said, "Trust me, it works in Staff Hub," to try to justify it.
Who's Fiend said? Didn't Fiend say that?
Yes, Fiend said that shit. It was, I think, one of my favorite sentences I've ever heard. But that being said, we do actually have some questions for you.
Proper questions.
And the first thing we wanted to discuss is how both of you got involved in Siege, because you've both been around for a little bit, right? But that does kind of have to start somewhere. So let's start with Happy here, and then we can move over to V after a little bit.
So when I was in 8th grade, my friends were all playing Siege. This was like Operation Health era, I think just before that. And I would always notice my friends getting on Siege, but my parents, good Christian household, I wasn't allowed to play violent video games for a while. Siege is the first game that was M-rated that I was allowed to play, which I honestly do respect them for doing that, because it's like, you don't want to teach a kid how to shoot guns and kill people before they know the implications of stuff like that. But even still. So I got into Siege, but I had never played a first-person shooter before. And so I started watching esports, because I was like, I just now realizing I should be looking at the camera, but so I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch see how the good people do it, and then just like whatever, I don't know. And I remember I watched Elevate versus Most Wanted. It was my first game, like the old Skies Laxing Elevate team against Most Wanted when they had I think Trippin was still around. It ended up becoming Space Station. And then I just fell in love with esports, and I was super inspired by Kixton and Taro of the time. And so I'd always felt like, doing sports commentary would be cool. And so I was like, I should do that for like video games. And then I practiced for like 5 years and never even thought about like how I was going to actually do it like on a broadcast. I literally would just do it in my room. Like my family would walk by me doing it sometimes. And then, one day I was in like one of my friends in the Rocket League scene knew someone who was hosting a tournament. They needed casters, so they were like, hey, this guy's never casted before, but he really wants to. And then from there I got involved. I met new people. I got more opportunities through like broadcast servers and stuff. And it was like totally by fluke that I ended up back in Siege, which is the game that got me interested in it to begin with. But I like to think it was destiny because I was on some collegiate stream and I was casting Nyx with 2 X's, and he heard me and was like, hey, we need someone tonight for TPL quals. You sounded pretty good. And I was like, well, I can't do it tonight, but I'll do it the next day, or I'll do it to, another time. And then I met Stan, and then we fell in love. And then I met a lot of other people. We didn't fall in love, but I still love Stan. But yeah.
I mean, I think in all
So,
fairness,
and then-
if you've worked in production, you probably do love Stan. You see, he's a very
he's
good guy.
awesome.
I
We
love
love
him a
Stan,
lot.
yeah.
He's great.
Truly.
But no, so from that point to being called up for Element 2 was like 10 months. Like once I was in the scene, I had practiced for so long that I got the awkward part out of the way that everyone was like, who is this guy? And then I just literally got so lucky from there. Like I caught so many big breaks, and I am very fortunate to end up where I am today.
I very distinctly remember the conversations with Yali planning the game for Rogueland, which is like, dude, I found this fucking guy, right? Came out of fucking nowhere, fucking prodigy. I'm gonna teach him to cast with V, and we're gonna put him on the land. And then I casted with you, and I was like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, he's
Like-
fine.
Although they pay you now and they don't pay me, so what do I know?
That's funny. Actually, my first interaction with Happi was
Was
DMing him to say like you should be getting paid more for the game Rogueland.
And that's why whenever I talk to anyone, if you ever come up in conversation, it's always like I will always love V, because the first time she ever talked to me, she was like, "You're probably getting undercut," and I was like, "Oh, I'm just really happy to get the chance."
Like,
And
no, I don't
it
fucking
makes sense.
care.
It makes sense, and I'm still new, so it makes sense that they wouldn't want to. And you're like, no. And then you forced me to tell you
Yeah.
how much I was getting paid, and then you and Yali started fighting over it. And then I was like, oh, I feel really
And
bad.
then it didn't
It didn't
happen.
happen. None of us got
Because
paid.
of course it didn't.
Nothing ever truly happens with Game Rogue. It's
Yeah.
just
No.
like a bunch of promises that then broken immediately.
I
Just
actually,
Yeah,
never
serious.
falls through.
Next week though, you're getting your check.
Next week.
Next week.
I'm getting my check.
I actually did, for a very brief period of time, coach a team that wanted to fly me out to, I believe it was Philadelphia for that LAN,
Oh God.
to coach their team, but I didn't think they were worth my time.
When was this, by the way?
It was like right before, I think, like
Because I was gonna
March.
say, if this year,
It was like
basically, if I lived here and you like turned that down, I was gonna fucking kill you.
you did live,
Because I was
you
like,
did live
you
there.
should hang out with me. I did live here.
Yes, this was while you lived there.
What
But
the fuck?
I knew the land wasn't gonna happen, and they were
Don't
bad.
care. You could have come and like hung out with me,
I can do that anyways.
but you would have gotten like that for free. Whatever. Fucking whatever. It doesn't matter.
I mean-
It's over. Anyway,
I'm gonna
it's my
lock
time to.
fucking
Yes,
doors
it's-
tonight.
I was
It's
about to
my
say, I'm
time to
getting very
talk.
sidetracked. V, you go
Important.
before we get
Uh,
very further along.
Okay, so this I think my first credited Siege event was like 2021 in Liquipedia. Was Siege Cardinal League. And
Mhm.
basically how I got into that was I was doing Overwatch at the time because it was just like a community tournament league whatever. And I was like, "Oh, I'm really liking Siege. Why don't I just like go cast that?" And I think through Broadcast GG.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, Broadcast GG. It's a best new caster's best friend. Go through there. They were looking for people. It's pretty basic, and I just
My
went
dog
in
is.
there, everything just kind of progressed. So it's not very crazy like fate-ish. Like Happy said, it was just like, okay, I want to cast Siege. Let's cast Siege. And I started casting Siege, and that was in early or late 2021. I can't remember.
I think Wikipedia has you listed as 2020. Actually, I think it's a
Oh,
year
it might be
behind.
late
Yeah.
2020. That's
Yeah,
right.
I think it was late 2020 because I think it was almost 3 years to the dot for you to get Element 2 around that same time.
It
So
might have been. It might have been.
yeah,
Because I think Zay made the post that was
Mhm.
like, I met V, and I think Zay's actually the original, like one of the only people from there that I'm still very good friends with, and I haven't actually met him yet. It
Post
kind of
about me.
sucks, but
Hmm.
yeah,
I can
yeah,
only
because
imagine.
you said 10 months.
Listen.
Okay, okay,
my rank
Happy. You
duo,
gotta,
okay?
you gotta form
That's
some
my rank
long-lasting
duo.
connections here.
No, I know that was a joke.
So in our notes actually we have the next part, which is directed at Happy, written as T4 to T2 any percent speed run. Because like you
Yeah.
said, it was like 10 months. You just like materialized and then you were an element. It's almost like it was almost like an inside job, although it wasn't. You're good at what you do.
We liked it too. We haven't had that bit in a while, but people have called me an industry plant.
Oh my gosh, we haven't done that bit in a
We
while.
haven't done that bit in ages, but
It's
I was.
such an
We
old
had a
bit.
bit where I was like when I first got called up to T2, people were like, "Yeah, this is yeah," because we would, dude, it'd be like me and Zay in a call, and we'd like imitate the Ubisoft execs in some French accent.
God, I
Like,
hate that
This
accent.
is le industry plant, Happi.
and he's getting fired tomorrow.
No, but we just like we would just pretend to just like because it, like you said, it did feel like it was literally just like I never stopped. Like I never stopped moving up. Every 2 or 3 months, I was doing something more significant than what I was doing before.
Mhm.
Like I had some random collegiate league, and then I did TPL, and then suddenly I'm on TPL Grand Finals. And then I'm doing Xenon, and all of a sudden they put me on their grand finals immediately. And then a couple months later, I'm doing Game Rogue Summer Series, and then I get to do the grand finals there too, which is 2 pro league teams. And then I'm one of the 8, and then I'm also at that time I'm on E1 quals, which at the time was like, you know, they only accepted 8 people, and it was pretty selective. Now it's just community casts and all that. But so at the time it was a pretty significant achievement, and then like a few months later, I'm being told that I'm being looked at to go to E2, and it's just like it felt like I never stopped. It's kind of been weird the last year or so. I've been very like normally stagnant, like because you should be, right. You're not going to go from T2 to T1 in like 6 months, but like it does feel weird for me because when the first year that I was here, I was nobody, and then I was like always moving up and always like it was very nice. Like it was good to feel like I could put effort in and then see that back in terms of results and in terms of progress. It was cool as well. I don't know.
I for some reason I was looking it up because I wanted to know if we casted. I'm pretty sure we did cast a grand final before Element.
Yes.
That's Xenon, yeah.
Yeah,
the Xenon one.
but I didn't know if it was TPL or Xenon. For some reason, you are labeled as happiness.
Yes. I was happy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I initially like I had like an old name, and then I decided I didn't want it anymore, and I was trying to come up with a new name. And I typed out the word happiness to my friend, and I was like, oh, that's a cool word. I'm gonna stick to that. And then eventually people just started calling me Happy, and I liked it with just the I at the end, and so I shortened it. But between being on a Rocket League page a while ago and when I showed up, like my Twitter handle and my username were still like happiness. So I was that for like I think a couple of months. I think right after that Xenon tournament was when I stopped being happiness and I was just happy. So, but yeah, I was happiness for a little bit, which I think happy as a caster name works a lot better because
So much. It's so much better.
Very good.
Yeah, so
It's very clean. I can't
Thank you.
lie.
I think
Yeah.
actually, speaking of that, one of the first like interactions we had was during my Xenon co-streams. When I did those, I did a thing before like the grand finals where I just like had people send their profile pictures, and then my like actual
Yeah.
brother, who's never touched Siege, like ranked everyone just based off their usernames, and he just joined my Twitch chat and said like, "Why am I in D tier?" or like something like that, because it was like Koala Media and Spleech that were the only two in S tier.
I mean, Koala Media is a banger.
It's a
That's a
fucking banger. And then anyone who had a number in their name was just automatically at the bottom, no matter where it fucking was.
Naturally.
As God intended.
Yeah. Serious, what was your old? I know I helped you fix your Twitter handle to go what it is now. I think you had like a number in there or something.
It was like Why So Serious 9.
Yeah,
Why-
I did have that for a very long time. I've been trying to think of a way to
Oh
get
my
rid
God,
of it.
that's
Exactly.
awful.
It was really bad. So
Yeah.
so it was like it's time to retire the hell out of this
Yeah.
thing. It
I think
just
I was-
deserves to die.
I thought I was in the call with you.
So
when we
because
did-
it might have been, but I remember
Mm.
like having an alt account that was named Mildly Serious, and I'm like, you know what, I like that enough where if that's just kind of like an alternate name aside from Serious, because that's just the one I go by normally online. So Mildly Serious, I think, is just kind of funny in a way. So it's just kind of like, yeah, you know what, it works.
Yeah.
I
Wait, so
think
now
it's
I-
definitely better than having a number in there. Jesus Christ.
Now I need to ask you a question. Did you were you just a really big Joker fan and that's why you named
Oh,
yourself?
I don't know. I don't even remember at this point. Maybe that's probably it, but no,
The
I've
Jonkler.
Jonkler.
The Joker.
The Joker,
It
the
has
character
been
that
retired.
straight white guys identify with a normal amount.
Yes.
I don't actually
Def-
identify him with that much.
Now on the other side of the coin, V took a little bit longer. I think we said about 3 years, almost to the day, between your
Mhm.
first cast that was on
That's
Wikipedia.
normal though.
That
Jazz
is
took
normal.
years too, yeah?
But
That took a while.
it is just kind of, I think, interesting, like the contrast of like someone who was an industry plant and a fraud, and then someone who worked for it. So kind of what was that like
Valid students.
in comparison?
Obviously it feels really good, but I guess I'll kind of take you through like the timeline of progression for me. So, you've got the beginning, which is like I'm still living in my parents' house. I'm still in high school. It's kind of a thing where it's like, okay, I want to get better. I want to progress. I can't remember how often like I VOD reviewed and actually worked at getting better. And I don't want to go back and listen to that. So, I know that like if you talk to Harrison, he kind of says like he'll be like, "Dude, I thought you were like garbage." That was what the that was my impression of Harrison Broder. Don't tell him that. So well, you have whatever happens with my parents. I'm like also really depressed like for the beginning part, which as some you probably can figure out isn't great for casting because you're not going to have just a very good image of yourself and for getting better. But basically, I move out, and then this is kind of like the very pivotal point because when I move out, I'm not like going to college or anything, but I have throughout the summer like a 3-month period where almost every single cast that I do, which is I believe SFCL season 6 or 7, I am going back, I'm looking at that, I'm saying, okay, how can we improve on this? I'll write down like what do we need to do? And I mark that point as like the change, the biggest shift of I'm going to be eternally T3 to I can actually like eventually make my way to being like a T1 caster. Like it's kind of like the advice where it's just like practice, work on yourself. And eventually I kind of started doing more stuff and even to SCS season 7, which was kind of the landmark thing that sort of kickstarted the new version of my casting. And I even got compliments where it's like, you improved a lot. Like you got very good. And then after SCS, I think it was a year later, came Element 2, and obviously it's just kind of been up from there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
'cause I
got
wanted-
mentioned in Ferme's tweet that one time, right? That you were specifically really good at.
I did.
I remember that. Yeah.
That I was really dedicated.
Mhm.
Yes, and I do remember around that time of SES season 7 that it was like, oh yeah, Like this, if anyone was to kind of go up to Challenger League, which I think
Mhm.
was still around at the time.
It was. I
If,
think so.
I
Yeah,
think
they
if
just recently
anyone was
updated.
going to make that jump up, I think it would have been you, and I can't remember who else at the time. But I do remember that it was like, yeah, V
Mm.
would have been like one of the
Mhm.
people to jump up because I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, it was kind of just at a point where
Yeah.
everybody was just kind of there for
Yeah.
the longest time, and nobody's really changed in or out for like a year or two. So like it
Yeah.
would have been nice to get a fresh face around then, but didn't happen for a year. But still, nice to
Yeah.
have you around.
I remember
I mean,
around
you had
the. Go ahead.
Element, so it was like you could do
Mhm.
quals, and I think that was the nobody moved up for Element because that was like the first
Mhm.
iteration of it,
Very
and they
first
just
one.
wanted like a clean,
Mhm.
no issues, no jokesters, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
You were saying?
I remember around that time was I think when we first met, and I was still playing at the time, or
Mhm.
delusional, as some might say. And I remember like you were asking my opinion on like some cast you did, and I pointed out that like I thought you were smarter than most of the play-by-plays because you could like point out little details that would
Mm,
not be like necessarily significant on like the grand scope of the round, but make like
I
the
remember that.
individual
Yeah,
like
I remember that.
moments very memorable. Um, so that was kind of the sentiment I had at the time as well. Was like, hey, if anyone's gonna do it, I mean, who the
Mm.
fuck else? Because it
S-
really who was even like around that time in T3?
Uh,
Because you were off
was
stage left, Happy.
I was still
it's
Not there
it's
yet.
mostly
Greenlight
who you're
production.
kind of seeing in T2 now. I mean, serious like
Yeah.
me, Happy. Anyone else who was there kind of isn't in the scene anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Was Jazz
Or
around then, or was he on his break yet?
I'm pretty
'Cause when
sure
I
by
first
then
showed up,
he was because he did TPL season 7 grand
Yeah.
finals,
I
Mhm.
think he was
which
like
was like September of 2023.
Mhm.
So you were definitely like
I thought
it
he
was
got-
around there that he was coming back. But one of the
Yeah.
things I actually wanted to mention that you reminded me, Kelsey, was that I actually made the swap to
Yeah,
a
yeah.
color caster
Mm.
for Element. Because
Was it
basically
for the Jacob thing?
I was about to mention that was that basically I up until like a certain point, I think it was not Wild Could Restart, it was Breaking Point. By then, Wild Could Restart, I was kind of getting feedback from everything, and I think it was from some Element feedback that Jacob was like, "Hey, like your play-by-play is like it's not perfect, like obviously it can be improved, but what about color?" And you actually, your point kind of led me to that, where it's like, okay, I can have this analysis, but my play-by-play struggles. What if we just take the play-by-play out and do color? And obviously, I'm an Element. Obviously, it's working great.
Yeah.
So
So I gave
And
you your job.
yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
basically.
You called her getting her job.
you pointed to left field. So
That's an interesting talk about. If I could kind of like mention with the role swapping too, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, I
Like
was about to
I
bring that
showed
up.
up, I was just the young kid who's PvP and just like shouting crazy loud things on every grand final because it's the biggest thing he's ever done. And then I'm told like a month and a half before Element 2, you're gonna get called up at your casting with Jay's Wills, who love Jonah. Love him to death. That guy made my transition from T2 to T3. He's the reason that T3 to T2. He's the reason that I am so good because he made it so easy for me to transition and just get my footing set. He can't really. It's not that he can't do color. He doesn't want to, and he heavily influenced how I see it too, which is like I really like hard PvP and hard color. Like I'm either fully focused on one or fully focused on the other. I love doing
Mhm.
both of them. I didn't think I was gonna like color, but I had a month and a half to learn how to do color, pretty much. And so I was like, no life up till like 2 in the morning some nights, just like watching VODs and trying to understand strats and talking to coaches and analysts and IGL friends that I've met through the scene or whatever, like about different things and trying to understand the lingo and the language. I watched a bunch of Link's VODs because I really like his casting. You know, so I had like a month and a half to learn how to do that, and I was really happy with how it went, especially for my playoff game because I had a long time to prep, so I was able to look at like teams' strats and like I was able to kind of like notice when people were specifically counter-stratting a certain team compared to like when they're just kind of playing with the strat that they have in mind. So that was a transition that I was very, very happy with. And then all of a sudden, a month and a half before Element 3, I'm told, hey, so you know to look for a caster, right? And I was like, no, I
No.
did not know that. And so it's a long time in the past now, so I don't mind saying it. I put Sirius, my friend Irish, and our boy Swan. I put all of them in a group chat, and I said, hey, I need a caster.
Fight.
It's going to be one of you guys. And at the time, my mindset was Sirius is the most ready now, and he's the most dedicated. Irish, I need to see him a little more dedicated, but he's like somewhat pretty ready. And then Swan, he has the highest potential because he's a speech and debate guy, and he knows how to speak really well. But you got to see a lot more like practice and effort out of him. And then I cast it with Irish. I didn't really love the vibe. I cast it with Swan. I realized I really just did want to do PvP again, as much as I love color. And I cast it with Sirius, and from the first 1 or 2 times we casted together, it was I thought it was great. Like we did a Makers TSG game on TPL,
Yeah.
and
Trying to remember the first one, but I think that was it.
I distinctly remember that was a very good. It was a very good cast because I had never been good casting with you in the past. Like we always had this thing where whenever I'd throw it to you, an execute would happen. Like we'd always get these crazy games where like somehow there's an execute at a minute 30 because Happi just threw and we need to execute now.
Yep.
Like that was what always happened. But we finally got some good games to work off of, and it just felt like it worked from there. So I've had a very turbulent career in terms of switching PvP color, but now I'm like pretty comfortably settled in on play-by-play, and it's good now because if anyone ever asks me, hey, do you do color? The answer is yes, because I've done it before at a high level too, with high-level commentators as well as Jonas now in T1. So
Yeah.
I think it is cool, like between V's story and mine, like how we can just switch back and forth from play-by-play color, and there really are differences. Like there
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
really does
very
make
big.
makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Um,
I know from my own personal experience that I obviously struggled with play-by-play. I've been getting better at it,
Oh
but
yeah,
it's also
you're
definitely
pretty
my
solid at it
big.
now.
It's at least passable if I do it at this point. But like I remember when I started, it's like, oh god, what the hell is this guy
Yeah.
saying? It's like I know V, I've heard you say from somebody else before. It's like, man, this guy is shit at this. It's like this is bad. But it's like
yeah, like
which wasn't
He just
wrong,
called you
and it's
out.
why I worked at it. So it's like,
Just
hey,
said-
it worked out
he
in
just
the
said,
end.
hey
so I
V,
mean,
if someone else told me you were talking shit.
here is something that you kind of gotta learn if you're gonna be a
Mhm.
caster. You need to hear when something is
Yes.
going wrong.
Oh yeah, I know.
Especially when it is like obscene, which I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure Sirius can kind of attest to that
Yeah.
it was probably like really bad.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's gonna hurt. I think the best criticism I've ever received is when I felt like I was gonna fucking cry.
Yeah.
Like that sounds brutal, but that's also when a lot of the times you're gonna get the actual advice you need.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best criticism I ever got was Tango coming back in VC after I did an outro and saying, that was awful, Happy. That was terrible. And it was the worst. And I had never, because I had never thought about doing intros and outros. And so then I had to think about
Was
stuff
that
like
was
that.
that with me?
No, it was not with you.
Okay.
It was me and Chaka on a collegiate tournament.
Yeah.
I
Um,
remember that might have happened with me at some point. I remember something like
might have.
that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? My intros and my outros still do need work. Like they still are not that good. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I'm
but
pretty
it's
sure I've
something I
said
think
in
about. Yeah.
I think I've said in a different episode of this. I think it was like one of our first ones. Is that you need to be coachable to a certain
Yep.
extent. This is kind of just a thing in
Oh
general.
yeah,
It's just
100%.
need to be able to learn very quickly.
That was something
Especially-
that people always told me when I was on my any percent speed run. Was that every time someone would give me feedback, I would like incorporate it. I remember distinctly the first time I capsted with Klimps, he gave me like 7 pointers, and I was like, "That's a lot." And then he was like, "Yeah, but," and then a couple months later, he told me he was like, "Yeah, it's because I knew you could handle it, and I knew you were gonna, do better at it." And I don't remember what all the points were,
Yeah.
but that was really. You need to be willing to accept I am where I am for a reason. The people above me know things about this that I may not have even thought about. And so be willing to like take criticism, take
Yeah.
feedback, and
Mhm.
hear out new voices and stuff.
Yeah, it was when I was a player, that was a very important thing as well. Was like if you fuck up in the 1 versus 1 when you should win, like you're gonna get fucking yelled at by your IGL, or if it's or on the IGL that's yelling at people. That's also happened a lot. But what the first like actual casting partner I had was Time to Light Dan in Genesis, and he and I, after like my first cast, sat there for an hour one night just like going over what I did wrong. And then I didn't do those things again, and now I am still a T3 fraud. But I did want to call back to a point that V made a little bit ago, where she kind of talked about like coming out of that like depressive state and then being able to grow a lot more. Because I was talking to Happi about this recently, like after November 2nd, when I had the final Project Harmony game where we lost to Wildcard Queens and I didn't make playoffs, I just didn't touch Siege for a month. I didn't cast, I didn't play, I didn't watch it, I just didn't fucking touch it for a month. And then I came back, and when we looked at the Blitz Grand Final that I casted, a lot of the issues that he'd been pointing out pretty consistently were not gone, but mitigated. Which you found kind of mysterious because there wasn't like any casting in between. And I think
Yeah.
it was just like I have a lot clearer head now than I did because I just really was not doing well around that time. But I just came back and I was also really tired because it was map fucking 5 and I'd been going for like 6 hours at that point.
Yeah.
But just
Are
having the
BO5 supposed to
clearer
be
head.
hard?
Hmm?
Nothing. I said our BO5 supposed to be long.
Oh no, we'll get to that later.
We'll get to
trust
that.
me.
We'll
We'll
get
get
there.
to it.
21-2.
Yeah, it was interesting because you kind of pointed out that like I was now in a period where like a transition between like being a good T3 caster and being like someone who could be T2. And that just wouldn't have happened, I think, if I'd continued trying to slam my face into a wall when I like just needed a break.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important to take long breaks, and I think it's incredibly important to listen to people that you look up to during those breaks, and to not try to emulate it, to just let it sit. I've been one of the periods of my, like where I'm doing that. I'm listening. I'm watching like Scrawny in Counter Strike, and I'm watching old Sadicus clips or something, or I'm watching like anyone in Siege who I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but like old Blue. I love what he was doing. People like that. I have people walking through this room with me. But yeah. So just like anybody I look up to within the scene. Oh yeah, Xenox. Xenox is a big one in Siege, who I think is really good. But just like watching and like listening rather than like trying immediately to emulate exactly what they're doing and letting it sit in my brain. And I think that's what you were doing, because you came back and you sounded like you were speaking in a different way and you weren't thinking about it. It just sounded like it was more natural for you. And so, yeah, you are in a good spot.
I did watch a lot
V
of
was
going
gonna
to
say something though.
Oh, God.
I was just gonna say that like it's a difference between when we say like practice, doing repetition, doing that, there needs to be purpose behind that. If you're just going up to cast and you're just like, I just gotta get reps in. I just gotta get reps. That like if you don't know what to do at the beginning, like that's okay, but there needs to be like intent behind everything. And like even if you don't cast, that's fine if you weren't really going to have that intent with your casting anyway. Like what I used to do was I used to have a sticky note on my computer, not an actual one and stick up there, but the sticky notes app where I'd put on like you're using this word a lot, or you're dragging on, try to be like succinct with your point, or something along those lines. And then I'd put it right next to my camera so that when I looked at the camera, I could see, or I'd put it like right next to the score so I could see what I'm doing. And if I notice something, I know that, hey, I can cut this out. So I think that's what I was going to mention, is just make sure that there is, if you're wanting to improve, or if you're just trying to get better at something in general, there needs to be intent with it.
Was that
Mhm.
from Fellow? I feel like I remember Fellow saying something about.
Probably.
No, I
just
never
did it?
got that idea from anybody. I just did that.
Cool.
Mhm.
All right, fire.
It's
That's
I
a
mean
good
it's
tip,
it's
though.
a it's a
It's a good
very
idea.
basic concept that's
Yeah.
not like this is not an original thing.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
I used to have a sticky note when I played that said "Stop swinging, fuck ass."
I think I remember you telling me that, yeah.
I
And
never did the
then-
sticky notes. I think I just had whatever I remembered up here.
Yeah, that's normally what I'll do. Like I filled in for whiskey glitter on the siege double shot stuff earlier, and one of the things you told me was that like with my play-by-play, I was like, it wasn't like flowing as much as I needed to, and I was
Mhm.
spending too much time like setting the scene before going into play-by-play, so I'd miss action. And so just every round, that was the focus. Like, don't spend too much time being smart and make your things flow into each other. And it got better over the cast, right? But like the purpose is just so important.
Mhm.
You know, we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I guess we could start the official discussion. What is it like having a duo? Kind of now that you're all in T2, right? Because V's had a pretty stable relationship with Jazz since Element
Long
2.
marriage.
Unfortunately, Happy has not had the happy
It's been
ending.
turbulent.
His
been
rom com got a sequel.
slightly shaky.
Yeah.
Threequel.
But kind of what's
What?
that been like
Oh.
since you've gone into
Release.
T2 and had kind of an official duo? Because I know for me that's one of the main things that I would be looking forward to in getting that call up.
Mhm.
I love my duo. He's the best, and he's
I
really
love
cool.
I love
I
my
love him.
duo.
And I can't. I think he's really awesome to work. with-
Wait, no.
but-
Oh, for me, it's
Yeah.
phrasing the right way. Ah,
Yeah.
whatever. Fuck it.
The bit is done. Happy, continue.
No, it's really fun because it's you have someone who you can go to like work. When I was with Jonah, I felt less confident because he's the big guy. He's been around for ages. He's been on T1 broadcasts. I'm just showing up. I've been in the scene for less than a year, technically, if you look at Wikipedia. Technically, I've been casting for a long time. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I felt less confident to be like, hey, these are what I'm gonna go for. This is what we should do. With Sirius, dude, like I was on vacation and I'd be like, yo, let's get on a call. Let's figure out the storylines we want to aim for, like for our next play day. So we're ready for these meetings. So we're good to go. And like, just being able to do that, like, I think it's super important to find someone who matches your kind of vibe as well. But Sirius and I are both like, let's like look really deep into some stats and into some numbers and into some VOD reviews and try to tell the like strategic story of these two teams' play styles against each other. That's what we both find really like gripping. And like, you know,
Mhm.
in there's other people who like prefer to go for like the head to head with player histories and organization histories. And you know, I personally have always found it really interesting to look deep into like the specifics of the game that is you know, that's what I find really cool. And Sirius tracks his own stats and tracks teams like stats on specific bomb sites, on specific tournaments, and against
Mhm.
specific other teams, whatever, you know. So we have a lot of in-depth information, and we like want to try and really create some storylines where people might not have thought to make storylines. I'll always remember the time where we made a storyline out of post plants, where one team had never. Do you remember that? I think it was Ariel
I
Fluffy.
remember. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was Ariel
And
Fluffy. I think
there
that was.
like there was one team that had like the most plants in the league and barely ever lost in post plants, and there was another team that hadn't lost a retake. I don't think Fluffy had lost a retake yet.
Mhm.
And then there was one pivotal retake round in which the whole game ended up kind of getting decided, and they went to OT and someone won. I forgot, but I just remember that was like the best example of like the kind of stories that I like to focus on, and I'm fortunate to find a
Mhm.
duo who likes to do that as well. So it makes it really good that you can look beyond just okay, what am I going to do today to make this a good cast for me?
Mhm.
But it turns into what am I going to do today with my partner to make this a great broadcast and to
Mhm.
like bring a storyline to the people that they'll find interesting or that they'll find like, you know, really cool in some way.
Mhm.
That's the coolest part for me. And being able to have someone who you work with consistently so you know their habits and so you're able to pick up faster on stuff like that. It's just it's so great, and it's great to have someone like Cade who's willing to put the time and effort in that I want to put in, because you know it's admittedly, you know, it's not I do kind of have like an obsession with this kind of stuff. Like I it was not normal when I first showed up. One of the reasons people liked me was because I always looked for more reps. I was casting like T4 European leagues that maybe weren't even on Wikipedia. Like, you know, that's what I was doing to try and get more reps in and stuff. So I don't blame anybody for not wanting to, do what someone like Sirius and I are doing in terms of like trying maybe too hard sometimes. But it's awesome
a
to me that
little.
I was able to find someone who likes doing that, and that's my favorite part about it. Just generally, it's so much easier to work with someone consistently, man. Like it's just great.
Yeah, it is. It's something that like you think about in like T3 where it's like, okay, maybe I just do things with this person.
Yeah.
When in reality, that's just not how it's going to work most of the time.
Mhm.
It's going to be very individualistic, and like if the stars align, maybe you can get two people to come up together. Like it was me and Adam, but me and Adam weren't really like a duo beforehand. And it was funny is me and Adam, I feel like we're very different from the angle that you and Cade go for. And
Oh,
this
yeah.
is just
Yeah,
this
that's
is just how I am in general. Like when we were doing Element 2, I kind of joked that it was like Happi was like the stats guy and I was the
Yeah.
entertainer
Yeah.
when it came to like the different colors.
Uh-huh.
And that's just the different ideas of how to do a job where it's like Happi will bring up the numbers or whatever, which when I will go for more in the moment things like
I'm the Jesse Chick to your Stokes in a way.
yeah, like storylines, I don't, vibes. That's a weird. It's not
No,
exactly.
that's fair though. Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
fair.
That's it.
it's yeah, and I
Sometimes you will do points where the whole point is that you are funny and that you are entertaining. And it
that's
works.
yeah,
Like,
it's fun. That's like that's what I think Adam and I are more of than like obviously we're I hope good at being a broadcaster, but less statistics and more having an entertaining and fun environment. And that's what you can do as a duo is you can kind of set the stage, set the mood for everything where you can have maybe clashing tones, but in a way that complements each other so that everybody's kind of getting the best of both worlds, or you just have both of the same energy where either is you're going to get an extremely analytical game or you're just going to enjoy watching it. Like, that's the thing I want at the end of the day is I want an enjoyable cast. And there's times where, you maybe can go off the deep end a little bit. I won't name examples, but there definitely are some. But I just always love being fun, and I think when you are enjoying casting and being there with your partner, a lot of times the audience is going to enjoy listening to you and watching the game. And I think you can do that with a duo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is. So when I did the Xenon playoffs a little while ago for season 7, I think it was, that was the first time that like I had the opportunity to like dig into like stats and stuff and do prep to tell a storyline. And one game I casted with UV, then the other was with Red Rogue, and it was two very different vibes. Like the prep I did, because like Red Rogue wanted to like dig, like Happi and Sirius, dig into the stats, like figure out like how do these
Where'd he
teams
go?
tick.
I don't know
Vietnam,
where
I
he went.
guess.
I
And-
don't know where he went.
And then like with V, like I had some things that I'd fall back on for stats, but a lot more of it was like she said, like in the moment, like let's just make this an entertaining broadcast. And it's hard to almost figure out like where you kind of stand on that without one, because like you'll have like Chaka and then like Bianca in a week, and I'll be on 2 different roles for that, and it is 2 entirely different fucking vibes.
Yeah, that's the thing is you have to figure that out with the person, and I think it just has to come naturally.
Yep.
And they have to be a good broadcaster to begin with. Otherwise, you're not gonna really have a good, like, both need to be quality.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's just gonna not work.
Yeah. I got really lucky when I showed up because once I was like heard of, Stan and Battery always told me like, dude, everyone asks to cast with you because I was new and I knew what I was doing. And they were like, wow, this is yeah. It did feel pretty good. I've never really been popular before, so it did feel really good actually. So
oh god,
that's
sad.
No, so when I got there, I had a lot of really good commentators ask to work with me to like Battery and stuff, and I was always available, always e-subbing. So I never really worked with anyone who I felt like I didn't work
Mhm.
with, and I always wanted to be flexible because I was still so new. I hadn't really established myself as a certain role or something. For you, it's different because it's like, you like have been around and you establish yourself. You want to do the color thing. Everyone in T3 wants to do color right now. We have like 3 play-by-plays and most of them don't cast. Like Red Rogue disappeared, Swan doesn't cast at the moment. Nomical didn't cast BGS even though he ran the whole thing. Like like
Yeah.
It's
it's
just
like
how it flows
just how it
sometimes.
is. It fluctuates.
Mhm.
It ebbs and flows. Yeah.
I was talking to Happy about this because, like, when I asked Nomical about it, because I was surprised I got the grand final. I've never gotten one of those before, at least for a non-Limiki tournament. And he specifically scheduled me as a play-by-play. And Happy said he found that kind of odd initially until he like looked at the options they had and he was like, "All right, no, never mind." Like,
Like realistically, who is doing PvP? Is Jazzman gonna do the BGS the blowjob finals? No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one,
Yeah.
Chief.
BO5.
He also wanted specifically someone who'd been casting quite a bit, like that season, and I
Yeah,
was
you want to reward the dedication.
like, I was
Mhm.
the person who could do play-by-play, who'd casted the most, or was supposed to cast the most. They canceled 3 of my games before I got to cast one. But I'd been in there for a little bit in casting, and so I got it. Although luckily I'm not as bad at play-by-play as people would think I am. So
Yeah, you balled out. I was not expecting you to be that good, and you were very solid.
yeah, I
No.
I just really like both. Is the thing. So I just do because
Good
a while
problem to
ago,
have.
fellow told me to just stick to color and only do that, but like, it's just fun. Plus,
Pick
I'm
one
in
and like both.
T4, so like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
now-
it's
right now it's oops all colors, so like I can get cast
Yeah.
consistently still because I can do both play-by-play and color. And
Hmm.
then in 3 months, when it's all fucking play-by-plays and there are 2 colors and a sack of Skittles, I'll still be able to get cast because I can do color well.
Yeah.
It really is a weird ebb and flow in that because I mean, like for a while, it's like, yeah, I was just one of like 20 different color casters in
Mhm.
tier 3, tier 4, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm one of the only ones that's consistently doing it. So it's like,
Mhm.
what the fuck is happening here? It's like, okay, sure. I guess you just have to be flexible at almost all times, so that's fun. But yeah, now I'm happy to at least have a consistent like flow of just like I can focus
Mhm.
on doing the analysis where
Yeah.
Happy just yaps the whole time. It's fine.
Yep.
I do the
Yappy
shouting.
yakka.
I do the screaming, and it's
Yeah.
fun.
Yes. Like we joke about it sometimes where it's like Happy like talks for like half the round and I barely say a word, but it's
Dude.
like I'm fine with that. That's
There are
great
so
because
many
like I can just
times.
watch the whole time.
It's like I still have this bad habit where I will accidentally go into color mode when I see something early round, and then there's an early play, and then all of a sudden I didn't get the chance to throw it to Sirius at all that round, and then I just spoke for 2 minutes. Like, but like
Yeah.
that's how it goes sometimes.
Yep.
So
So
that's
it
one of the
goes.
things I'm working on now is not going into color mode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But,
it
yeah.
is it is an interesting thing being down here. We'll see. Maybe someone will die. Who knows? We do have
Oh
a
god, Jesus.
Oh
That
god.
is dark.
Someone will die.
I've
Someone's
joked-
gonna like retire. They're gonna just.
I've
Why'd you
joked
gonna
about
die
it.
first?
Yeah.
I've joked about it a lot,
don't
but
know.
like just
Maybe one of the higher up
T2
casters will
spots.
pass away soon. Like just stares into camera like on December 28th, 1980.
Stokes will suddenly feel a tight pain in his chest.
Stokes will stub
Ooh.
all 10 toes on a coffee table on December.
Oh,
Oh
God.
god,
damn,
dude.
Jesus.
You gotta.
I mean, I've
that's
joked about it
too far.
before, but like the spots don't open up that much, and so it really
Yeah.
is a lot of it about like establishing yourself as like the guy
It's luck.
for T2, and then you pray that someone either moves up or that like a spot opens up for whatever reason.
Mhm.
You know, which was kind of the position we talked about V being in for about a year after SCS season 7.
Yeah.
Although to kind of switch gears a little bit.
I showed up the instant the spot opened up. That was so crazy.
Man, weird how that happens. So
Yeah.
weird.
It's so crazy,
Funny.
man. That's wild.
Happy Aqua was an inside job.
Well, to
That
change
was an
gears a little
inside
bit,
job.
Happy's Fruity Friends was a thing for a little bit,
Oh.
which started as a pug stack for TPL quals, but then a new team completely independent of that just formed during the Chamberlain Pride tournament. And I remember there was a tweet that you made, like, when we were in the grand finals, it
I
was
do
like,
remember
I
that.
just woke up and a team with my name on it that it didn't make us in the grand finals for a
The
tournament.
Pride tournament. Yes, dude, that was so funny, and that tweet was authentic too. I don't think you guys told me you were doing
No.
that.
No,
You
we did
did
not.
not tell me you were doing. You were
I-
naming the team that.
I
I
think
woke up and Happy's Fruity Friends, which consisted mostly of people I think who were on the pug stack, because I know at least you and Cloudy were there and you guys were pugging.
Yeah, it was myself, Spectrix, and Mel who were on the pug stack. Although I think
And-
Spec was a
yeah.
sub on the pug stack. Oh yeah, and Julie
Yeah.
was also
Julie
a
was
sub.
there too, yeah.
And
then you guys
Cass.
added Cass.
Mhm.
Right, yeah. And then
Um,
so you guys made the team for that. And I literally woke up and I was like, what on earth is this? Like I was like, why is my face
I-
here?
So I think I sent like the tweet of like announcing the Pride tournament to like the group chat we had for the pug stack for TPL, and I was like, hey, we should
Mhm.
do this. And then Mel was like, you're right, we should. And then we built the Fruity Friends. And we played it. And we almost won. But I watched the VOD where we 7-0'd the old Wildcard Queens back with the chat on. And I remember there was some guy on like round 6 after we won and we were up 0-6 who just said like, don't piss off Happy, his friends are scary.
Listen, I agree with that, but it's not because you guys are scary, it's because women are scary and you guys are women.
Yeah, and then there was the Project Harmony team that formed.
Nope.
Uh-oh. Alright, well, I'm
Uh-oh.
a ghost now. That formed from the ashes. Hello? There we go.
There we go.
We're good. We're good.
The Harmony team then formed from the ashes of that, and in spite of some complications, we almost did make it to the playoffs.
Almost.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me, man.
Damn, you got like emotional stock in this,
Lost
Happy?
7-1 to Titanium Cloud.
Okay, well they
didn't win another. They didn't win another game. All and we would have made it to the playoffs if we beat them, bro.
found
That
look,
was so
Happy.
nice.
We found the critical issue just a hair too late. Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Dude,
That
I've never been so disappointed watching.
same, bro.
As a fan of Asia Pacific Rainbow Six Siege, I've never been so disappointed watching a team I was rooting for
Wow,
than when I'm watching it.
I'm,
Like
that is insane.
I'm
I
worse
was
than
so
Tag, bro.
sad, dude. Like I was so like, and then it was just a fluke because you guys played really well before that, and you played really well the rest of the season. And then in there was a 7-1 loss to a team who won like 6 rounds in the rest of the season combined. Like I have no clue what happened, and I'm so sad because that's what kept us from the playoffs.
I know
And
exactly
we-
what happens.
Okay, well, you know what? Those were issues within the team.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah. And you know what?
Oops.
We win.
We
We didn't win.
I mean,
But and then Cloudy, that traitor, that I
sounds
hate.
Like a Fempire.
backstabbed the roster and threw against Wildcard Queens while they were allowed to have a pro league level player as a substitute to gatekeep the Fruity Friends. We still almost made it. They were working against us,
I will.
and
I will
we
say,
still almost got it. Okay.
during both the warm-up scrim and the game, I think the most repeated phrase I had was, "It's skyscraper. They will swing you." And every fucking round, I'm fairly certain for the warm-up, and most of them for the actual game, I was saying that. And then in like round 11, like when they got to match point, like one of my players gets swings to go, "I can't believe they swung me there," and I was like,
Your life ends with me.
Dude, no. If I will say, if we had the team that we had from the end, because like Michael was kind of nasty.
"Yeah."
If
We
we
needed
were
more
able to keep like a
firepower.
consistent roster
Mhm.
the whole season, and we were able to keep either Annika or Michael on the team the whole season long, I
Yeah.
think we definitely would have been a playoff team.
I
Because
think
that
so as
team,
well.
peak Happy's Fruity Friends was easily top 4, probably top 3. Could have beaten Wildcard Queens.
Oh yeah.
Like that's how good we were at our
It-
peaks. We I don't know
Yeah.
if 3/5 of the team stayed on the team in the last game compared to the first game.
There was a lot
we
of
had so
turmoil.
much turbulence.
Yeah, I mean, part of that was because Mel was dead for the first like 3 games, so like,
Yeah. Someone paid her in Chipotle to play on Qualls Day.
Yeah, we needed like we were supposed to have like Scoot for the last qual game, but her internet was being fucky because she just moved into a new apartment. And so Rennie was like, "Hey Mel, if you play this game, I'll order you Chipotle if we win." And then we won, and she got Chipotle. Although kind of going from Happy's 3D Friends specifically to Harmony in general, V killed it. I saw it. It was
You
a
murderer.
boxing match in the ring, 1-on-1. For those of you who didn't see, there were a lot of tweets after
I mean, do you want me to like
Yeah, let's
give us a
explain
breakdown.
all of it?
Yeah, give us the breakdown.
I
of
think
it.
that's a good idea.
Okay, so I will kind of I'll explain my relationship with Project Harmony from the beginning and how that kind of progressed. So obviously, I worked in Project Eris. I did CCSW. Those were pretty big for me at the time, and there wasn't really anything women's league-ish until Project Harmony. And I worked season 1, and it was kind of like, whatever, man, this is a league that clearly doesn't really know what it's doing, is just kind of here, and no one will remember it in like a year.
Wow.
Well, no, because there are tons of those around the sphere of T3. That's just how it happens. Is a lot of times the like production quality isn't great, the teams aren't great. There's nothing memorable about it. And especially with the T3 with women's Siege being as lopsided as it is, where you have about 3 or 4 teams up at the top, and then everybody else is really bad. But there's nobody else who will play, so you have to have those really bad teams. And it's always been like that, even back in Eris and CCSW. But basically, I like cast for them, don't really think much of it. I think I do that for season 2. Do I do that for season 2? No, I don't. And that's part of the that's something you gotta remember. So I do that in season 1, whatever. Then I am told 3 months beforehand that they are not going to allow non-binary people, and I was like, that's weird. And then like later down the line, they've officially added this into their rulebook, and nobody said anything. I got contacted about this, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna use my magnum influence that I have, just so big, to like reach out to or out them on Twitter and say, hey, what's this kooky little thing that's in the rule book? And I don't know if it was my like attention onto it that eventually got them to change it, but they did implemented a couple of other changes that also fixed some issues. And I was like, all right, I wasn't going to cast for them anyway because I have some big issues with the admins.
So I don't want to cut you off just real quick.
Yes.
After your tweet, the questions channel in that server was filled with people just going, when were you going to tell us? Or some variation thereof. And then finally they were like, hey, we're going to revisit our policy on non-binary players after some community feedback. And then they changed the rulebook and a bunch of other rules with genderqueer people as well.
Okay, well, there you go. There's definitely made an impact. But basically, there are, throughout the season of Project Harmony Season 2, there are like weird admin decisions and just kind of general fuckiness that was expected. The admins have always been really weird and have made weird decisions. But basically, after the semifinal, Skylar comes out on Twitter and it's like, hey, I am kind of being like two-faced here by the admins, being told that I didn't like it's not that big of a deal. I just shouldn't do it because it's technically not against the rules. But then after like being told that I'm receiving a punishment when before I was told I would not be receiving a punishment. And I just kind of threw thing out there that was like, there's a reason I'm not casting Project Harmony, LeMayo, which I assumed was kind of like, hey, why is like the most important woman in NA production not casting? I don't want to toot my own horn. That was weird. But
Name a more important woman than you.
that's, I mean, I guess. But why Michelle Obama? Why is she not casting Project Harmony? And basically, nothing much. I got like 30 likes. The next day, I went to go lie down in my bed, and suddenly I see a retweet of that post, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird." I check it, and one of the admins had posted like this really long paragraph with like 3 images and a video of the game that I did. Like, what would have been? It'd have been like 7 months ago, 8 months ago at that point, and
Longer
the
than that, I think.
yeah, and on that day, I remember I was in a weird headspace, and I made those replies and kind of quick fired those off, and was just like, this, if taken like seriously by the higher ups, I don't know, at Nerd Street or for like, could really hurt me, and I was really, really mad, and the amount of attention that it got and the amount of people that commented supporting me, I did not expect. Like, there were so many people, and a lot of people that matter too. I mean, Connor, Grave, Ferme, I replied basically saying, "Hey, what you're doing is dumb."
Yeah.
And then after that, they canceled the grand final because
Yep.
I guess all the negative attention, they're just like, it's not worth it.
Mhm.
And I remember being in the call with Zay and all of
Oh
them.
my God! Who's coming out of the tunnel? It's Zay Show!
He's got the Puerto Rican
the grand
flag!
final.
Like, I was there, and somebody said something, and then Cass posted the tweet, and it was like, what the hell? Because that was completely unexpected. Like, obviously, it's one game. Why would you cancel it based off of all this? But they did that, and then Zay goes like, "Oh my God, what if we did the grand final?" And like Royal joins and he goes, "Zay, are you thinking what I'm thinking?" He goes, "Yes." And they're like firing DMs off to like Disciple and all the Lycus people and all the wild card people, and I think Zay's like, "Oh, hey V, did you want to do the grand final?" I'm like, "Sure," because it based off of everything, that's pretty good PR.
Yeah.
And all that comes out in the span of like 20 minutes. That the Crucible puts out their own tweet saying, "Hey, we're doing this." All of it kind of comes to a head on the Saturday. The graphics are really cool. I'm super excited. I've got Harris in there, and it was
Woman time CEO himself.
It was an awful game. 21-2. 2 rounds won in total. I really enjoyed the cast. I think Harrison and I did a great job keeping it entertaining, but it was awful. And it was a BO5, and it was done in 2.5 hours. Oh my God.
Less than
all
half
of that
as long as the BGS grand final.
It was almost like, I think map 1 of BGS was 3 rounds or 4 rounds less.
3. No, yeah, 3.
It was 18 rounds the first 2.
No,
yeah.
So
18
wait, like 5?
18, 20, 23 rounds was the
5
total.
rounds
So it was 5 rounds less than the entire women's grand finals. All that drama, everything for
just for that.
nothing.
So
It was fun though. I enjoyed it.
While I was doing the Blitz Grand Final, V was sending me a bunch of messages like, "What? You getting tired during a best of 5? Those aren't hard. They don't go on for very long."
I put that in Twitch. I put that in Twitch chat.
I'm supposed to be long.
And I just sat there like, you should walk into traffic. I will also say, by the way, that Harmony had stricter rules for roster lock than T2 tournaments usually do.
Yep.
Like, the moment someone touched
Really?
your OPL page,
Dude,
you
we
were not
made
allowed
like
to
9
drop.
roster changes. How is that true?
You were not allowed to drop someone once they hit your OPL page. So everyone that we dropped was still on the roster, but we just weren't allowed. But we just didn't use them anymore because they did other stuff. Like, because every other tournament that I asked, like TPL, Blitz, Xenon, they all allowed. I think it was like 2 roster changes per season. You got none in Harmony. If you picked someone up and they hit your OPL page, they were on the roster, you were not allowed to remove them. They weren't even gonna, like, I had to sit there and fight with them for like an hour to let me get an ESA because we had a player who was throwing up and couldn't play the game. It was so fucking weird that entire time interacting with them, and they definitely viewed me as the problem child, but that's okay, because I still have some respect in the Siege scene. Well, there is the Blitz women stuff now that's happening, so that has some
We'll see. We'll
actual
see
admin
what
behind it.
happens with that. We'll see what happens with that.
I was a little bit concerned when they put out a tweet, like, looking for admins, but we'll see, because that's, like, 3 leagues right now that Blitz is cooking, so...
3 leagues?
We'll
3?
see
Hold
how
on.
that- 3, yeah.
Don't
One's
just
not
don't,
publicly
don't-
available.
We don't
and
need to
I
get
don't,
into it.
I don't want Nomical to show up to my house.
Yeah, we won't get into it because we're.
You could beat up
Yeah,
Nomical.
Yeah.
That's I
Like
probably
6'2".
You can fight him.
I am.
It's okay.
He's
You can
also
do it.
6'2". By the way, actually, I was on Goose's like co-stream of the Element Quals, and like I said that I was 6'2", and the Nomical just responds with, "How are we not married?"
Why is that what you think?
That is.
I
Nomical
remember
likes
that one. I
all
was like, wait,
dominant
what?
women?
Because he was
Confirmed?
trying to say that he was trying to question how we were both single, but it came out like he...
How are we?
Man,
not
we're
married?
6'2". We're single. I mean, maybe some things are matching
How are
up
we
here.
not married?
Absolutely. Zero Riz.
That's so funny.
Jesus Christ.
It will Nomical beat the Chaser allegations? Find out next time.
and for those of you who don't know as well, the first time I met Nomical was at the Atlanta Major, because I was sitting with Yali and Sirius and a couple others, and someone asked me who the IGL for Space Station was, and then I think I said, like, Ashen, that he leans over. I've never met this guy before. He leans over and says, "It's Fultz and Forrest," and then he leans back. And that was the first fucking time I had ever met this man.
That's our yeller.
To be fair,
That's him.
that sounds like something I would do, or if somebody like asks a question and then somebody gives a blatantly wrong answer.
Yeah,
And I'm
Ashen? What?
Yeah, like I would be like, no, it's this, and then just carry on with life.
Yeah.
That's
But no,
fair.
it's different for Nomical because that guy is a massive Space Station fan.
Oh,
Yes.
So it came from a personal place for him.
There's a reason we call him a yeller in your server.
Yes. Yes,
He-
I
he's
have
quite a
an
character.
esports server where people are given roles based on what teams they like, or just fitting into a category of fan. And all of the SSG fans have a yellow role, and they're called yellers, and the name is delusional.
I think that
Um,
my role for a while was just miserable.
Yes, because you were a DZ fan. I had the DZ fans had miserable. I could go through some of them. We have the Scars fans are fish-like as a terrorist. The Beast Coast fans are hashtag We Love D. The BDS fans are oil merchants. There are CAG maxers. There's miserable. Flux maxers.
I think
Oh,
that-
and we also have some reformed delusionals who are the SSG fans, but like I think they're like normal. They just like SSG. Oh, we have the wildcard agents, because I swear wildcard is like hiring people to get into my friend circle and then like spread propaganda. Dude, Cass, Lastfire, Folks Sam, although I haven't spoken to Sam that much, but still, like, dude, they're everywhere. Like, my friends are all undercover agents, bro.
They're in the walls.
They're spreading propaganda. And then we had so many people be like, yeah, Wildcard is like a top 4 team in the NL this year. And I just didn't get why they were saying that. And so I just started pretending like everybody was like an inside agent for Wildcard, and they were infiltrating my server and telling me they were good. And they were pretty good. They were better than I thought they would be, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
they'll probably get to invite.
So another thing that we wanted to ask about, which we've discussed a little bit already, but not, I guess, specifically, is kind of going from being T3 ready to T2 ready. Because Happi was an inside job. Like, we all know this. He just like showed up, and then Firme just like put him in a van and is casting.
I like this
having
one.
a cast element now.
Yeah.
And then V kind of had a moment where she was able to figure that out, and so did Sirius. So kind of, in the opinions of you guys, kind of like, what was that like, and when were you kind of like, yeah, I can do this?
I didn't even really think about it. I just kind of was T2 ready, apparently.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's.
I
there-
never thought about it.
I think there comes a point with your self confidence and how you view yourself
Mhm.
that can maybe emanate that. It's hard to envision what it was like, what the thought process was before, because like when I was doing SCS and there was like the rumors of Element coming up, and I was like, I think I can do this. Like I feel like I am T2 ready, and that look, the difference is feeling like you're T2 ready and actually being
Mhm.
T2 ready. Like
Yeah.
those are completely separate things.
Yeah.
Your confidence, I think, has to be based in reality.
Mhm.
And I can think of somebody who definitely, like, maybe their confidence could be bashed down a little bit. I'm not naming any names, but I think we all know a specific person who.
Beef.
No, they got
beef,
they got
beef.
smited down from the heavens from all the leagues.
Mm.
So
They did.
I
they
don't
did.
I don't need to name any names. But it's just a mix of your own self-confidence, gathering peer opinions, and then if you can, gathering more higher up opinions, professional
Yeah, that-
opinions, which you can get usually by VOD reviewing with them or asking for feedback or something along those lines. It's all a mishmash of making you feel better about yourself and trying to match what is actually available in reality. Like, are there spots available in T2? Are you going to be able to cast T2, or are you just going to be perma stuck T3? Because it's all just a mix of that.
It's weird. It's not something you necessarily can control.
Yeah.
Like you either
Yeah,
It's
you either have
luck-based.
it, you either have it or you don't in the first place, and then you either have an opportunity or you don't. And what I mean by like have it or you don't is that like there's a certain level of being natural with speaking and being quick on your feet and being able to speak like I got lucky because I have always been talkative and I've also been practicing this for a long time such that for me it came naturally enough to just like talk that I think that's all that I was really seen in me was just that I was a very good speaker naturally because I got called up for a role that I didn't do and had never shown I could do. Like I had just shown promise in terms of having an advanced level of speaking. So that's where it comes for me where it's like there are a lot of things that I could give everybody all the feedback in the world, but at the end of the day some people just don't have it and some people just do have it. There's
Yeah.
a certain voice, there's a certain power behind your voice, there's certain inflections, there's certain like
Fundamentals.
yes, there are ways that you have to speak and you have to be able to like for me, I don't even think about my casting voice. I just kind of do it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just kind of
Yeah.
a thing
same.
that I do now.
Yeah.
But there are people who still have to think heavily about stuff like that and how do I make noise? How do I, inflect here? How do I and that's ironing out those kinks is basically just
Yeah.
going from T3 to T2.
Yeah.
Like that's really all that it was. The thing that I needed to see with Sirius before we called him up to T2 is the stuttering going to get better?
Yeah.
Still there a little bit. Still
Just a little.
sometimes. Start
I'm
of the
working on
day.
it.
Start of the day normally rough, but whenever we like get a time to slow it down and I get a chance to reassure him and just like slow it down a little bit,
Yeah.
it always gets better. So yeah, I knew he was ready once he was able to do that because otherwise his speaking voice is very good. He speaks at a good pace. You're invested when you're listening to him speak. And it's not because he's screaming his head off. It's because he's speaking in such a way where he's emphasizing certain words that you feel like compelled to listen to him. So that's it's a lot of stuff that you may not have control over to the extent that you'd want to, but it's at the end of the day, some people just like have to work a lot harder to get past some of these boundaries than others. I was fortunate; I didn't have to work very hard because I was naturally able to understand like certain things about speaking. You know, I've been speaking
Yeah.
for a long time to public speaking, so it's not something I've ever had a problem with.
Yeah.
Professional yapper.
Mm.
If
Yeah,
Aiden
really.
Happy
Yep.
Aiden Happy Connolly. But I mean, like
Um,
from my own experience, I mean, yeah, that is kind of like a similar kind of opinion I have of just being like tier 3, tier 2 ready. It's like it's not that huge of a difference once you're already kind of there,
mhm.
but it is kind of very luck
Yeah.
based. I mean, I was fortunate enough to have Jay-Z Wills kind of be in a position where he's officially tier 1 ready, like all the way officially up there. So it's like spots open. I don't know who else is really quite there to take it other than me, Irish, and Swan at the time. So it's like,
Yeah.
might as
Yeah,
well
you
try to
knew
take
who else was there
advantage
to
of
take
it.
it because I made a
Yeah.
group chat.
Yeah, you made it, but it was like
That is the
like
funniest thing in the whole world.
the
Dude,
funniest thing.
Pipe, pipe,
Nobody felt like they were. Nobody felt like they were ready, like
Mhm.
unquestionably ready yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was my best option, was to see if I could kick anybody in the butt and say, "Hey, look,
Mhm.
this opportunity's here. Work. Like you have this chance to cement yourself forever in the tiers of Rainbow Six
Your
Siege
legacy will be defined.
and all
By
that
Happy Aka.
weird, all that weird mumbo jumbo people say
Yeah.
about a random
Mhm.
esports match to try and get me to
Yeah.
care about it."
Yeah.
Like when the Crucible said that, you know, rising from the ashes, a history will be defined. It's
Let Zay have his.
21
Let
to 2.
Zay have his
21 to 2
thing.
grand final.
Let's say
Let
has
him have it.
23 and
But no, like legit, it's just I had to take advantage of the opportunity I was given, and I've been
Mhm.
working hard at it for
yeah.
quite
Yeah.
some time now. But it's like it is ultimately does the spot get opened up? So I mean, like
Yeah.
it did, and then I'm here. So
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
Allie's asking
Like-
this question, trying to take notes. Like, how do I be the next one?
Dude,
how do I plot?
How do I make
I-
sure
Sirius's
that I'm-
I
demise?
think it was known that was the goal anyways.
Yeah.
Was because there's not a spot right now, but I can be V for like a year and just kind of be good at it until another one opens up.
Yeah,
Probably more than a
so
year.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm
Might be
trying to
more.
think about the future because I believe Element is still going to be here. Come, and these are all like things that I've been told. Come next year, I believe Element is still going to be here. But I don't know the adjustments that they're making for like the stages and the kickoff event, and so whether or not people will be quote unquote brought up.
Yeah.
So, like,
Mhm.
if that doesn't happen, I don't think there's going to be any spots in tier 2. And I won't give anything about Challenger Series because I don't know the minute of that, so I just can't really say anything about it. But unless some things open up on the pro level for some people in T2 to move up, whether it's, you know, John, me, Happy. I don't say Harrison because Harrison, you know, those Ubisoft chat logs, they stay in a separate file on their computer. I don't want to be the doomer, but
Yeah.
it's not looking great.
Yeah. But it is a very uncertain thing, and I'm very aware of that, because, like, I mean, because I think, like, after E2, when they brought in 3 new people, including an entirely new duo, people kind of forgot that that doesn't happen a lot, and the explicit goal that season was to bring on as much new talent as
Yeah.
they could.
I
After
think-
Element
broadcast.
1, right?
I ruined
After
everybody's
one, yeah.
expectations.
Yeah.
As well as, like, Happy did the fucking speed
I
run,
showed
so-
up, and within a year, I was T2, and now everyone's like, "Oh, I'll get to T2 if I like."
I can
Oh,
do
I
that.
did a. Oh, I did like a TPL quarterfinal. T2 will be in like 2 months. Like, you
Yeah,
know.
like, it's a very weird thing, especially with the point I think I'm at now, where I'm just kind of sitting and waiting and seeing
Mhm.
like what happens.
Mhm.
Who knows? I don't. But at least I'll be able to have fun along the way. So
Yeah, that's for me. That was the big part. Like, I had so much fun in like Xenon and TPL and even Game Rogue. Like, just working with people. I had one production. The first time I was with Zay was on a Game Rogue tournament,
Yep.
and we both trolled each other. And we were like, okay, like afterwards, we were joking about how we had like a troll off or something. And then we became friends from there. Like, obviously, I fell in love with Stan, and now we're going to get married and have children. live a lovely, beautiful life. Um,
When's the
Stan has a
wedding?
girl. Stan has a girlfriend.
Not for
So
long.
I'm just, yeah, I'm heartbroken. But so he, well, yeah, like Stan's one of my like best friends in my life now. You
Mhm.
know, I I had to talk to that battery, but I mean, like, not everything's perfect.
Bro.
Okay,
Not
no,
the
and like
slander.
I love messing with people like Battery and like Nom.
Mhm.
Goose is awesome. Everyone
Yep.
on this podcast that we have now is awesome.
Yep.
Jazz is really cool, even though he never reaches out. Every time I get to talk to Jazz, he's like the best.
Yep.
Like there's so
Yeah.
many cool people that I've met through this stuff.
Mhm.
And then I
Mhm.
managed to get people incorporated in it too. Irish is a person who I knew through my own life. He coached my collegiate team in freshman year of college. And then I was like, hey, you like esports? Wouldn't you want to give casting a try? And then he casted TPL twice and was on Xenon. So he speed ran T4.
Yep.
He had precisely 2 T4 casts, and then he was in T3.
Yep.
One of his T4 casts was a grand final, and the other one was casting Onigiri, standing in for the Outlast ranger that had like had Bay and Hitman on it way back when.
What a wild.
So that was his T4 stint, and then he was in T3.
Yeah.
So like and I'm glad that I was able to provide other people those opportunities, and I'm glad that I brought Swan in too. I heard him on a Siege Double Shot stream and brought him in. Like I had so much fun meeting new people and making experiences, and I
Yeah.
was able to provide that for other people too. And so that's the thing at the end of the day is that I tell everybody, like, it can't be about getting to a higher level because you're going to
Yeah.
burn yourself out and you're going to be miserable.
Yep.
It has to be about enjoying every single broadcast you do, enjoying the grind, enjoying the improvement of it. When you make it about that, it'll be worth it, and
Yeah.
you'll find yourself getting better anyways, and you'll
Mhm.
find yourself getting to higher levels and getting more opportunities than
Yep.
you would have when you were so consumed by, oh, I'm at this level and these people have more viewers than me, and this guy's got better opportunities. When you just don't think about all that, it gets so much better.
I think as well the wait won't feel as long if you're actually enjoying the ride.
Oh yeah.
Is that
I mean, I felt like I didn't wait any time at all. Maybe that's just
maybe, who knows?
I feel like Happy's a bad basis
A
for
bad-
allowing this. It's like, hold on, wait. A lot of us have spent at least 2 years trying to get up to that point, and then Happy's like here, like,
Listen.
all right, he's new, he's good enough.
Yep.
yeah. But I mean, I think that kind of also makes me an especially good example because like, listen to the guy who got lucky. You're not gonna get lucky. Like I am not a good example. Like
Mhm.
don't attempt to follow in my footsteps, or at least not without practicing for 5 years on your own, through your whole high school life without or before you try to follow in my footsteps, I guess. And it's weird. No one's gonna. I don't think I'm significant enough of a community figure for anyone to try to be me. But...
So once the autobiography comes out, you'll all know what to do if you want to be in T2 tomorrow.
7 life hacks that got me in tier 2 in 2 weeks. The 4th one will shock you.
Yeah, I guess since I've got 2 of my coworkers from Element, now thinking about Element 4 and everything, what thoughts on that so far? And just like kind of any preparations you guys do for that so far? I mean, I know me and Happy are set to do some prep pretty soon.
Yeah, my final season ended on Friday. So yesterday and today I was focusing on getting a grad school application in, but now my prep is starting like probably tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I probably should start. I've only been watching it casually because most of the time, I also work a part-time job at a grocery store. So some of the times, like,
Bakery.
yeah, what is it? It's a bakery and a grocery store.
Oh
So-
wow.
Yeah, so like there will be days where like I will listen to Element. Like I will just listen to, I guess, well, this year it would be Jesse. I'll just have him in an earbud doing everything. So like I've also been really busy, so I haven't had time. It's not been on the forefront of my mind to prep when I think we've got 2-3 weeks now before everything starts up. So that's the time when I can look at the teams that made it and prepare for that, and it's convenient.
I got to take a look at the. I checked out some stats and I took a look at a couple VODs from teams who already made it. And I will say, I think Loyalty is Scarce are my favorites to make it out. Not just because they went 3-0, but because I was watching them and they looked really like impressive. Like good general idea, insanely good gap spotting. Their attacks were insanely well coordinated. They have a very good idea of what the other team was trying to do to counteract it. Fluffy obviously looked good. They went 3-0. I'm still a friendship team believer as well. I think they could definitely get far. Might even be that other team in the grand final. If I had to guess now, I'd say it's them. I watched a lot of what's it called? I watched the open quals. I was streaming the open quals yesterday. And I didn't. The only team I caught on my stream who's in playoffs was Bay Harbor Butchers, and they looked pretty good, specifically on attacks. But then they lost to a pug stack of like, a couple people who weren't even in E4, so that was like a little concerning for their sake. But they still looked better than I was maybe expecting them to, given that I didn't. I think foresight was really a big thing with that team. Him coming in and being able to like take a lot of the big personalities on that team and like keep them together was definitely important for them. But overall, I will say I think we have a very good and like a lot of very good teams that made the playoffs this year.
Yeah,
So
I
I think it's going to be really exciting to watch. I don't think there's a bad team in that playoff, and they're all distinctly good at different things, which is
yeah.
why it's going to be so cool.
I've got opinions about kind of the progressing element seasons and the quality of play, but I think for what we've seen, it should be at least somewhat entertaining. The fact that we've got a double elimination bracket, especially, so we'll get to see at least 2 BO3s of every single team, should really put to rest any underlying issues with anybody. Like if you're in playoffs, you lose 2 BO3s, you weren't going anywhere anyway. Like so I am excited for that, and I do think though a lot of the earlier teams, the ones that went like 3-0, are probably just going to kind of smack all the other ones. That's my personal opinion. I think friendship team, loyalty is scarce. I think those ones are probably some of my favorites. I don't think SSGA aren't looking consistent enough to go anywhere. They've got to do their thing where they make it to the semifinals and then lose. Because cool bug fact, they've done that in every single element. They've had 3 different rosters. I think between element 2 and element 3, there was like 2 changes. But every single season, they have made it to the semifinals and then lost.
Are they going to get 3rd or 4th this year? Because they can't get 3rd, 4th.
That is true.
So would that mean the trend somewhere?
So they'd have to make the losers finals, then probably.
Either losers finals or losers semis, they'd get 3rd or 4th, so they'd still effectively.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that to keep their streak going, they have to make the losers finals. So there's my challenge.
Yes.
Lose.
Lose here specifically, but no.
I think just real quick, and I think the thing I find most interesting is that this will be the first element where the winning team does not have some combination of Kobe and Packer.
Oh, actually, yeah, I guess so. That's fair.
Yeah.
Like they have either Kobe or Kobe won. Packer won the first one. Kobe won the second one. Kobe and Packer together won the.
I wanted.
That's true.
I wanted to make a joke after Kobe shit the bed. In was it Montreal that he just shit the bed in their BO3? But it was like, congrats to Kobe for winning Element 4, because the idea was that he was gonna get dropped.
Ooh,
I didn't end up tweeting that because I thought it was like really negative and also people wouldn't get the joke. But yeah, I thought that would have been really funny.
Yeah, I hope they don't give up on Kobe.
I believe the rumor is they're not. So
okay, good.
Okay.
Watch, dude.
Well,
what that guy was doing on
that's
Makers and Element, like that's not a fluke. Like that guy was like plus 30 on entries, dog. That was not real. Like that, you just give him some time, figure out how to enable him, and that could be one of the best players. Like that's maybe some glaze, but he's just a demon. Like I've
Only
never
a
seen
little.
anything like that in my long tenure of T2. All the years I've spent here.
2 weeks casting T3.
Like 2 weeks casting T3.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm pretty much out of everybody. The only one I'm kind of concerned with, at least because of recent results, is Fluffy Amers, now JJ and Co. because of the whole org situation with
Mhm.
him. Because I
Mhm.
mean, ever since they qualified for playoffs, going 3-0. I mean, they had the Blitz Grand Final where they lost that in a very tight show. I mean, Aliossz can attest to
They were
that because
making
it was
so many mistakes too.
it was a lot of
Both
mistakes,
teams were.
and then SI quals. I think they ended up losing to Space Shoes at one point.
They
if
lost
I'm
to
not mistaken.
Core in Qual 1.
And-
I was pulling that up because I forgot when they lost. I do think they lost to
Mhm.
Shoobs.
I think they lost to
Um,
Shoes in the second one most recently. So
JJ and Co. lost to they lost to Shoobs in the last one.
yeah, so recent results haven't exactly been kind to them, and they are one
Shoobs
of
on a
the
run,
only
though.
undefeated teams. I mean, they're still doing pretty well in their matches, but they've been losing a lot of them, especially against some other teams that have already qualified for playoffs or came very
Yeah.
close to doing so. So
Yeah, they're
It'll be tough
playing
to tell.
they're playing TSG.
Mhm.
So studies say they should
they should be the
win.
favorites,
I
but
think they played in Swiss. That was a pretty close series. Yeah, they did. It was
Oh, they did.
7-5, 7-5.
yeah,
in the
7-5,
BO3.
7-5. So
Fun.
yeah,
TSG is another one of those sleeper teams. They could do some damage if people sleep on them.
I
It's
don't,
better
know,
than
I
with
don't know. Joe, yeah, you know what's
Random
so
broadcast.
was
Listen,
Joe
Unk still
wait,
got it.
was Joe on Stay Safe in SCS 7?
I don't think he was on Stay Safe. I know he was on Nemesis back in the day. I thought Stay Safe was like reversing them.
I thought he
didn't
was
think Joe
casting
on that
SCS
team.
7.
He
Oh, yeah,
might
he
have been.
yeah,
For some
yeah.
reason, I
He was
associate.
casting for a while.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, I do remember some stint with him.
Mhm.
I know he
Yes.
was with Wildcard Aces in Element 2 as a coach for a bit.
It's true. Yes, he was.
So ended up not doing as well in that role, unfortunately. But now as a player, he's made playoffs, so they're turning around.
Yeah, I'm excited to. I need to ask him if I can call him Unk on stream because I think that'd be funny. But if he would find it annoying, I'm not gonna do it. Because I already call you. I call you Unk. I call you
Yeah,
Unk.
you call me Unk, and it's like, God damn it.
Listen, we got to get some personality in there somehow. We got to entertain
Yeah.
the Jinxie viewers.
Mhm.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't all be Jasmine and
Yeah,
Literose.
we can't all be funny.
That's true.
No.
Which, by the way, for those of you at home, at some point I recounted a tale of a joke I made on broadcast to Happi, and he told me if he heard me make that, he would have blacklisted me. So, Happi Yaka hates personality.
I do hate. That is. This is true. This is true. I did say that.
Absolutely.
I think it was just a really bad joke, though.
It was an awful joke. That's
Probably.
why I made it.
Yeah.
Really bad. Yeah.
That's why I made it.
I didn't actually mean that, but if even for me to make a joke and say that I was gonna do that, it would have had to be pretty rough.
Look, you have the stats, and then some people are funny. I happen to be funny.
Maybe.
most of the time.
You can tell
Alright.
yourself that, sweetie.
60% of the time.
You were on like 6 episodes that you've done this with. Be serious.
Has
And
he been
you've-
funny?
you've thrown
Serious?
You've thrown in some jokes. Some of them land better than others, but they're there.
They can't all be winners.
Nope. I do remember you trying to hype up like how many puns you were gonna make during the Blitz Grand Final, and I don't think you made
I didn't hear
that
any.
many.
I was
But I
mostly
mean-
I was mostly just trying to scare Nomical, to be honest. When I did that, like
Did you guys have Nomical on an episode of this?
we have
Not yet,
not.
no.
I might, or we probably will.
He should get Nomical and Battery on an episode and then just berate them the whole
Oh
time.
God!
You just berate them the whole time.
Oh my goodness.
No questions, just you suck. You suck.
What were you thinking when you made this tweet?
Oh, we're not getting into that.
No.
Not getting into that.
Not touching that.
No, Nomical.
What were you thinking when you started rooting for SSG?
So many things went wrong at that point.
Why do you
Maybe
have
that's
a
where-
buzz cut?
Maybe if he was like a DZ fan, he wouldn't have started Blitz Gaming Series.
Maybe. Or it might have been
Would he have
purple.
picked a different color for it? It might have been Urple.
I don't know.
Why he Urple?
Although, no, I was told that they came up with the color because they were looking at like the caution tape. That's like black and yellow, and then
They
Blitz
came up
was
with the
also
color
black
because
and
they looked
yellow.
at TPL.
Toilet paper league.
steal this.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Did we call it that when we
That's
had Stan on the
TPL.
podcast? I just realized.
You guys missed out if you didn't call it that.
I agree, dude.
Did we? I feel like
Probably not.
I don't think
God.
we did.
I don't think we did. Shit.
Fuck. We gotta get him
Missed
back.
opportunity. God damn it. Gotta
We'll
go
get-
edit
get
that
him-
back in.
We'll get him and Andrew, and he can help us bully Andrew.
Yep. That'll make up for it. That'll be fine.
Anyways, drifting a little bit back to a normal conversation.
Hmm.
The SILCQ happened, and I know that Happi was doing a little bit of that. I'm not sure how much V was participating, but that happens. So
Mhm.
kind of, what are the general thoughts on how that's gone so far, at least for NA?
Like who qualified and all that?
Yeah, that.
Washington Wizards as a team, I think could have won Element if they had qualified, if they had been able to play. Because that team is insanely good.
That's like
Like,
the
It's
reanimated-
Bino
Yep.
Fen Center Asian Woos.
Ooh,
That team is really good.
Mm-hmm.
that's
Like they are
fucking
nasty. I'm
what?
surprised they lost the qual. Like they
Well,
lost the
in-
qual because they like I think they were like Bino said they were like under the impression they still had a spot and then they got told they didn't anymore. So they just like scrambled to
Yeah,
like
it was a different
scrapped
roster.
them
No,
together.
they had like Snake for that one. I don't remember
Yeah,
who
that's
else,
true.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
true. But yeah, so that team is really good.
Mhm.
I got to cast them against Red Hoodie, who was the Pug Stack team that almost made it. And they had like they did play some good teams. Like they played a HUD Xer team along the way. They beat Bayhard Butchers. Like it wasn't a massive Limmicky bracket, and they just got smoked by Wizards. And so I'm excited to watch them play. I'm really glad they made it in. I'm glad LIS Friendship Team and Core, I think, other than maybe contending Fluffy Aimers, would be the best 3 teams in E4. I think,
Mhm.
like I said, Core you could make the contention that FA is better than Core. Although after the BGS final, it seems like Core a little bit
I
ahead
think they're
for the
pretty
time.
even. I think they're pretty even.
Yeah, they're definitely
it
very
was a
even. I mean, you
really
got to see
close.
firsthand. It was really
Yeah.
close. Yeah.
Although I will say a lot of that series was just who made less mistakes that map.
Mhm.
Welcome to T2.
Um,
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, which
Yeah.
was definitely something to cast.
since
I'm glad
makers
that-
have been gone, that's been tier
Yeah.
2.
I'm glad that Goose
Basically.
was doing color there and not me, because
Goose did a good job.
yeah, Goose did a fucking awesome job. I love that guy.
Mhm.
Wait,
Um,
so I didn't watch. Did like teams like Wildcard not attend?
So I think that Wikipedia, the invited teams are wrong. Like, 'cause
yeah,
Six Karma is literally in Brazil. Like the Six Karma team is playing the Brazil quals, so we know at least they're not going to be
Mhm.
there. I'd imagine it's Cruelty, OXG, Wildcard, because Wildcard would have played quals if they weren't invited. And then
yeah. That's my thought process.
my best guess as to the next team is like Revan or keeping someone
it
that they
says
had
X
from
Revan
Europe.
on here.
Yeah.
So what I'm guessing is like Revan are gonna keep around somebody they had that they imported from Europe, and they and Ab are gonna make a team. Because Ab and I, Lamba, Quick, Draw, and Marteau. They'll keep one of those 4, and they can make like a team that is Ab and I, one of those 4, and then like 3 people.
mhm.
Mhm.
Like that's what I'm guessing would happen.
It
Other
would be
than
great
that-
if they updated that.
Yeah,
That'd be
I think
great.
they're just waiting until there's an announcement because otherwise they don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see who would be next up, anyways. Because after Revan would be
Hey, Pittsburgh Knights.
Oxygen, Wildcard, and LG. Yeah, so I think I don't know, but LG already played the quals, so we know they're not invited. So yeah, I guess Revan figured something. I have no clue.
Mhm.
Not sure.
We'll see.
We shall see. But yeah, and the format's also really weird. Like they have a closed qual into
into the
closed qual
finals.
finals.
Final, yeah.
And then I don't know like what the deal is with that stuff. Like, because if it's I thought Siege Double Shot mentioned that closed qual was still community casted, and then I'd imagine the finals would be like on Rainbow Six main.
Yeah, they've announced
But-
that it's going to be on the main
Oh, they
channel.
announced
Yeah.
that. Okay,
So,
I didn't
yeah,
see
they
that.
did put an announcement.
Run said today that he and Glitter are doing closed for LATAM and
Hmm.
closed for NA.
Mhm.
Oh, awesome!
Cool.
Yay! Go Siege Double
Yeah.
Shot.
It is
real.
definitely going to be interesting to see who
I'll see if I
makes
can do
it
those with like
out of that.
Jazz. Yeah, I mean,
So,
I think
because
it'll be
we've
cool.
got
'cause-
4 element teams currently, and Cruelty being our only representative of LATAM in the playoffs as per usual, because there's only ever one that makes it through. Just keeping with
Hey, E3
tradition.
we had none. E3 we had
No,
none.
E3. Well, we had Six Karma.
got invited, or no? Yeah, wait, no, they
Yeah, they made it through because they made it flawlessly
Right,
through
yeah.
everything,
They beat Make,
which was crazy up
Mhm.
until they finally got beat by Wildcard, and that
Mhm.
was the game we casted. So
I
that was
remember
their
that one.
only loss, which
Yeah.
is insane. But still, regardless, that we've only ever had one team from the LATAM region in Element playoffs every single time, and it is just keeping with that same thing because
And
Zentonegra just
I don't think they
did
ever win a
not do
game in the
anything.
playoffs. They don't win a game in the
Uh,
playoffs, do they?
They
Because I
might.
know Alpha Atheris lost right off the rip.
Mm,
Six Karma lost immediately.
mhm.
I don't remember E1. Was there a LATAM team in E1? I don't remember.
Ooh.
It feels like it was so long ago.
Yeah.
That's too far back for me to remember.
I'm just gonna pull up
I don't want to go
bracket.
back and look. It's too
Let's
far
see.
back.
SSG GGG Osiris. That was the Osiris. Them, Carnival Aerial Rise. Carnival was old 1 HP like Anki and Big Guy and Kirk.
Correct. Correct.
Outlast versus Carnico. That Outlast team was I think Mike W and Bay. Wildcard Aces and Space Station Academy. Wildcard Aces was right after JJ. Yeah, Bribino, Riot, Twiz an amp. CN were the only LATAM team in that entire event, but they made it through the qualifiers, so they earned their spot, which is cool.
Yeah.
And they almost made it to playoffs, but they lost last round to.
Oh, that game was insane. I remember that game.
Versus Tinta Negra.
I think if I'm thinking of the right game,
They got 7-0 on Villa. Were you thinking of that?
was it Skyscraper?
Oh,
No.
Okay, I'm
Mm.
thinking of a different game then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Slate
wasn't
almost got.
Centenegra like the team that everyone watched in E1 and they were like, they're terrible, how are they there? And then people were like, I don't know, you fucking lost to them.
Well,
I
they had
do
a
remember
forfeit
kind of.
win, and then they 2-0'd Sway, who had Benny Schmink and Reveal. I'll always remember when Benny made a tweet like, "Lol, I've never for any T3 leagues, and now I'm T2." It was really funny.
Yeah,
That
no,
first
that.
season was something.
Mhm.
I will
I liked
never
watching that.
forget the fucking 1 HP game where like Ozone posted the clip of him and his friends like losing their fucking mind as like one of the 1 HP players like threw like a really easy flank.
Mm.
That those close because
I
like
just-
the Bureau got in as well, which was like Spider and Natural and Co.
Yeah, they
Monkey
became Slay.
Business.
Yeah,
Like there were a
Flukes was
lot
on the
of
team.
like
dude, monkey business.
there were a lot of like
Hashtag go bananas,
Lamicky teams, I guess is how I'll put it, that got in.
dude.
And in Fiend's like Element 1 video where he's interviewing Natural, like Natural was saying like, you know, a bunch of people were like, oh, how did they get in there? But it's like they won.
You lost. What's your problem?
Imagine the teams that that fucking beat them in T2 instead, like, or that they
Yeah,
beat.
God,
Like,
Stenville making it.
Yeah.
Senvale against Mr. Beast's new reality TV that he was fucking catching. Clutch.
What?
I don't
Senvale
know.
clutched a 1 versus 3 versus
I remember.
the team
I
Mr.
think I
B
was there for
coaching.
that. I remember watching that.
He clutched the fucking 1v3, and then they won that map in a 4 versus 5 against this, like, it was like Reverse and like Emilio and like Teddy. like a pretty
Oh
solid
yeah, and
roster,
Qualls, yeah.
and they lost 2-0 to fucking Tragical and Senvale.
Yeah, 7-5 on Villa.
Listen,
8-6.
Traj is still around. No, don't hate on Traj.
Bro. Oh my god. That was a game of all time. Oh man. I forgot
God,
about that.
I forgot Villa was still around for Element 1. I mean, shit. It's
I
feels
missed
like
that
it's been
map,
gone
dude.
for
Bring
forever.
bring that map
I
fucking back.
love wiggling crosshairs.
Or the scopes in general just shaking.
Best
Yeah.
map in the pool.
I heard I when it got roomed, I heard a rumor because of that.
I mean, it's been like that since like the
It's
dawn
so
of
annoying.
time.
I
It's
think it's
so
still
annoying.
there too.
It
What
is.
does it
It
even mean?
is.
What even is like wiggling cross?
No, so when you
What do you mean?
ADS, your crosshairs just your like
On
the
Villa
scope just
specifically?
vibrates. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just
I've
vibrates.
never noticed that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
It's most prominent on ACOGs, especially.
Okay,
So,
that's
like,
crazy because I
if you're on
crunch
one
the
times, it's not
2.5 on
as
Rudy
bad.
all the time on stat, and I
Yeah.
never noticed that.
Yeah,
Huh.
Yeah,
it's there.
And it's been like that
Learn
for
something new every
fucking
day.
years.
Mhm.
Unfortunately.
Truly, it is some programmer's nightmare trying to figure out what the
Someone
hell's wrong with
has
that.
had several sleepless nights trying to figure out what the fuck was causing that and just not been able to figure it out.
Which, as another software engineer, I feel you there, because like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is wrong with this shit?
The vibe I got when I like tried to teach myself to use Python was that like you fix one problem and then suddenly your sync catches fire.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd imagine that's what's going on there.
Something like that.
Happy. If you look under a certain team and element, there's a
Oh, yeah, I
roster,
saw that
not a
too.
roster, but an org change.
Oh no.
So as we recorded this, I don't know when it's, but
Oh wait, in like
Something's
in
happening.
the server?
something's
The internal server?
happening. Yes, there are.
Things
Yes,
are happening. Woo.
Ah, I see.
yeah.
Huh.
Org change.
Oh wow.
So
Live info leaking.
I know, yeah. Well, technically, I'm not. No, it's just like as the time of recording, this is when it
Oh.
got announced to like
Mm-hmm.
The people
us.
yeah.
Yeah.
So 6:48
Except-
p.m. Eastern Standard
6:45
Time.
p.m. 6:45 p.m.
6:48.
6:48. You have a wrong clock, Happy.
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm seeing the message and I'm reading when the message.
Oh.
Okay, whatever. This like is completely irrelevant. Like nobody is going to care.
Nobody cares.
6:45 December.
I think it's kind
15th.
of interesting. That's interesting.
People will see this in approximately like 3 or 4 days. So
Yeah.
I see.
That
So
being said, though,
maybe announced by
we
then.
have
Maybe.
been going for almost 2 hours. So we had a couple other
Yeah.
things we wanted to ask you to while you're
Mhm.
here. The first one is, what are your casting aspirations? Because I've talked to each of you, I think, a little bit about it privately, but kind of like, what is the main goal that each of you have for your casting careers?
Obviously NIL. Like that's expected. That's fingers crossed, right? I think potentially it could there is a non-zero chance that, given the fact that NAL is now 3 stages, that whatever happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it would be amazing if somehow I could also transfer to regular sports. I might be going to college for like sports media. So like, because I am a massive football fan. Like if I was literally thinking today, listening to the games, watching the games, I was like, God, if I could be in that booth, I would be so happy. I don't know if that ever could happen. If it would, that is decades down the line. But
yeah,
obviously NIL, and then somehow transfer to sports media, if at all possible.
Yeah. I made a tweet on my private Twitter once, and I'm gonna hold myself to until I eventually decide not to anymore. But I will cast an SI one day. I committed myself to that, and that's something I'm gonna work towards for however long. and then if I get to that level where I'm doing any majors and I'm doing like tier 1 stuff, then I'll stick around there for a little bit. But unlike V, my career that I plan for the rest of my life is not in sports media. It's not in commentary really at all. This is just like a passion that I love, that just so happened to run into, and everything
Mhm.
fell so that I could make some good money on the side and live out my dream for a little bit. Um, Best case scenario, if I get out of grad school and I am like at a high enough level where I could do this and either like something small on the side or maybe stream to keep myself afloat for a few years, I think that would be fun to like live the dream a bit. But eventually I anticipate like after a couple of years of like, okay, I've done a few, like if I ever get to that high level, after a couple of years of like, okay, I've done a few big events, I've done some stuff, I feel like I've gained my experience, then I think it's important to leave the game before the game leaves you. And I would like my plan now is just like keep kicking. Eventually I will cast T1 because I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to like go away until at least unless it becomes like evidently clear that I'm anywhere and I've committed some grave sin and I'm stuck in tier 2 forever. In that case, then it is what it is. But the goal is to keep working, keep moving up, and doing this on the side. See where I can get to. Hopefully, one day be able to do big events, and then after a good couple years of doing stuff like that, then probably take a break and just live my life as a pediatric occupational therapist and start a family. And this is just a thing that I did for a while, and a really cool thing that I got to do for a good part of my life. Because that's kind of just what I expect it to become. I don't. It's very sad that we can't make a career out of our very fun niche esport. But they're like where Siege is right now and where I can see it going in the like it's not the NFL. It's not even like League of Legends or Counter Strike. Like it's not. It's a tier below that, and the unfortunate truth of that is that it means you have to kind of know what you're going to do afterwards. For V, that's commentating. For me, it's just completely different. And this is just going to be a thing that I got to do for a little bit. And I'm not taking it for granted. And I'm still working because I know that it's not necessarily that I'm on borrowed time. Realistically, I could do this forever. Like I could keep doing it on the side. It's not the most time consuming thing ever. But I do. I'm going to cast an SI one day. That's what I tell myself. If it ends up not becoming true, oh well. But that's what I tell myself. And that's the goal. SI, do big events, maybe a grand final or something. I don't know. Just be the goat, and then retire.
Go off into the wind.
Go off into the sunset, and like have a family. Hopefully, if I still figuring out how to talk to women, but
I mean,
can't
luckily
really-
for you, it was a private
that.
Twitter tweet, so no one has to know about it. So
yeah.
Until
well,
now.
I mean,
Hey,
I
until
don't-
now.
unless
Oh,
you tell everyone about it.
I just tweeted that I'm gonna cast an. It's like someone tweeting like, "Oh, I'm gonna win SI." Like I'm gonna win. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's setting a goal for yourself, and it's like that's what my dream is. And so I don't care if anybody like
Yeah.
knows that I want to do that one day or not. It's not me saying, "Oh, I deserve this over people," or it's not me
Yeah.
saying like, "I should be here right now. Why am I not?" It's me saying, "One day when I'm better, when I'm harder, when I'm in like somewhere in the future, I'm gonna do that." And that's the mindset I need to have to be able to get there someday. Is that to be determined and willing to work that hard to get there. So I'm not embarrassed to admit that.
Not a bad goal to have.
And when you're already like in T2, that's filters out like 85% of the fucking people who could have that goal. So like you've made it farther than most people will.
It's the people below me most have that goal, but I'm above them right now, and the people above me, most of them already have. And then there's like a couple other people in between that are still in the spot that I'm in, where you're motivated still. You're in like a tier that isn't quite proper major level casting tier 1. And I hope everybody gets a chance to do it someday. I think it's like, because this isn't something you can make a living off of, I think it'd be really cool if a lot of different people got the chance to cast big events, because we have a lot of really good casters in the scene. I think anybody in tier 2 right now could do a good job. Give them a year or two, or right now. Like I think John and Crow are just great. I think give me V, Serious, Jazz a year or two, and we'll be ready for like high level stuff. Not that like, or I don't know, I can't see the future, but I think it's like we have a lot of really talented people around. And so I think it's very important to like recognize that, and I hope everybody gets a chance to do the things they want to do someday.
Yay. Woohoo.
So slightly related question then. I know that you said you casted Rocket League and V's kind of done some Overwatch stuff, and I believe you've done a couple hosting gigs as well. Something that Serious and I were curious about when kind of putting together the talking points we wanted to go over was what's kind of the idea with some of the other stuff you're doing, right? Because obviously, like, Siege is going to be the main one. That's the one where you're being paid. That's the one where you're in T2 and have the best shot at doing it professionally. But obviously, I think both of you kind of have some interest in doing some other stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of what it. So, I don't know what path there is for other games. I'm just kind of going with the flow. And if something jumps out, I'll latch on to that. But currently, I'm not really trying to branch out per se. All the attempts I've done, whether it's Apex, Overwatch, anything else, is just kind of I've been stopped at a brick wall, and it's mostly just been worth it to continue to try to do Rainbow. And like I said, if something pops up, I'll absolutely do it, but not really have any plans to deviate from that path.
Yeah. I think for me it's like it is just kind of I have interest in other games. I really love watching Apex. My most watched Twitch stream this year was Rainbow Six, but then after that it was two Apex streamers. Greek and Nicewig for anybody who is in the scene. But I love Apex. That scene's always been really cool to me. And so it's just about if I have passion for something, then sure, why not? A lot of the other stuff that I may do was just kind of like it's where I got into, it's where I saw opportunities. But I think like V, it's not like there is some gatekeeping in the industry. Like there's definitely a sense of a lot of people like want to hold on to their position and are willing to do what they can. Siege was very welcoming to me the moment I showed up. People were reaching out and saying, "Hey, there's this, there's that, there's the other thing." You know, people were like giving me feedback and saying these are things you could work on. And it's a much more welcoming community. It feels like production is a community. Like these people are my friends, and I did casts for Rocket League, Valorant, CS. I think I did a little bit. Apex, I've done a good amount, and it never really felt like there was that same thing. It's like it feels like people sometimes could perceive someone being good as a threat rather than a friend to be made or someone to give opportunities to. And for that reason, it's like I think they're probably that's the feeling I had. I can't say for sure. Like I said, I've only done a little bit of most of these games, and even still, it's mostly just been collegiate stuff that Tango asks me to do. But like, so I'm not at all like working stuff that's necessarily relevant within the scene. But even still, Siege made it so easy for me to find a community and find home in it that I don't really feel the desire. And like I said, in terms of like what I plan to do this for a little while and then stop and then go live the rest of my life and do my other careers. And that's so given that I see it like that, I'm less incentivized to like go 110% to try to get into the Apex scene too, because it doesn't really seem like it'd be worth the effort for me at the moment. I should put effort into like school or like, prepping Siege stuff, which is where I know I have a place,
Yeah.
And so I really like that part of the Siege community. And I try to make my own little section of the prod community as well and be like nice and welcoming to the new people who come in. And I encourage Stan and Andrew to like make tweets to give people like, hey, if you want to cast, you can contact us and we'll have you cast and whatever. Because I was once in a spot where I didn't know how to get involved. So I want to try and incorporate as many other people as I can into T3 and T4 and all that. Because it's a fun time and we all have the same passion for the same game. So I want to share that with other people. I want other people to have that chance.
Mhm.
It's literally how I got into it because I saw, well, not Andrew himself tweeted out, but I saw XGS put out a tweet saying, "Hey, we're looking for new up and coming casters for our latest season of Xenon Gaming Series." And then I was like, "Sure, I'll apply for it." So,
And
I
then the
mean,
light in my eyes dimmed slowly.
and then it's gone slowly downhill ever since.
And then all of a sudden, I got into a voice chat with Andrew that battery, and the hope that I had in my heart was diminished.
I didn't
Yeah.
know it then,
I mean,
but then I knew.
I only got to like, I mean, I got into Genesis just because like Phoenix Blaze heard me casting and was like, I think it'd be good if you had a real co-caster, and then I was there, and then everyone was chill, and then I think I got into fucking Xenon the same fucking way because like I knew people who were in both, and they were like, hey, come over here. And then when we had Stan on, like he talked a lot about how he wants to bring people in, observers, producers, everyone, and just give them a chance, right? Because it's a very wholesome community. I like production, which is I think I said with Stan as well. But one of the reasons that I moved from playing to casting was like the production people are just fucking awesome. Like I bully Andrew, I bully Nomical, but like they are good friends of mine, and I
Yeah,
do
yeah.
love all of these people.
Nomical's like my esports little brother. That's what I call it. It's like, that's how I see people like this. I make fun of Andrew because Andrew's a friend of mine. I played a baseball game with him over the summer. I stood in for his
I
baseball
forgot
team.
about that.
Yeah,
That's
it's really
great.
funny.
I mean, hell, I met V through production, and you're one of my best friends ever now. So, and you looked like you were gonna stick a gun to my head if I didn't like
No, I was
fly up
doing
to
the.
Philly. So no, because earlier you
I
were
just-
like threatening me when I said I didn't.
Because I wanted you to. I thought it would have been cool to hang out.
Stop
I'm
guilt
sorry.
tripping women, Allie.
What?
Stop guilt tripping women.
Favorite pastime.
Pastime. Gaslighting.
That's what I did when I IGL'd Fruity Friends.
Gaslit people.
Just
Absolutely.
gaslit the whole time.
I absolutely gaslight gatekeep girl boss. With that being said, I think now I'll give the floor to you two. You can just kind of say whatever you want. Shout out anyone. If you have any haikus that you've been saving for a moment like this, you can throw those out as well. But in general, you just kind of take the floor.
Oh, I wrote a poem this afternoon.
Well,
Did?
let's
What?
hear it.
It's
Okay.
in my server. And then there was the evil one.
Oh
a
my
tyrant
God, yeah, I
beyond
heard
belief
this.
whose ironclad grip over the doldrums of Tier 3 Rainbow Six Siege goes unchallenged. Compared to none, for his reign of terror is so unparalleled, the misery it has brought about, that it goes beyond what humans could have comprehended before his arrival. The man has ruined lives with his existence alone, bringing pestilence, suffering, and horrors beyond comprehension, beyond anything man-made or otherwise. His existence alone might be the most valid claim against the existence of a higher power, because surely no greater good could have ever allowed such a horrid thing to come to pass. Legend has it that one mere uttering of his, even if shrouded in whisper or drowned out in sound from a surrounding area, sends shivers down the spine of all those ever so unfortunate souls who have encountered him. A mention of his name is not even met with gasps, but a despair so intense that creates a dead silence that nobody has the strength to break. A mention of the name, that battery.
Oh!
I told my friends that I was writing about T3 at a prod school, and then Cass responded, and there's this weird transsexual woman named Cass who just kind of hangs out for some reason. And then I was like, I'm gonna pretend that I wrote it about battery, and then I wrote that.
How does you spend time on that? You spend time.
That
on
is
Yeah. It
hard
was
work and
mostly off. It was
dedication.
mostly off the dome. I mostly just was like,
That's
So-
impressive.
Andrew has been sending Goose like text in Arabic along with like
Yeah.
AI generated images.
So
of, like,
cringe.
Satan
It's so
for, like, a
cringe.
week.
I tried to like play into it, and I responded like, Andrew, can you please not do that? Last time you did that, I looked at my window, and props died. Like, could you please not? Like, and so, but yeah, no, he does do that. We have a lot of fun in the prod community. So
Very
I guess
fun. Yes.
I'll start by saying like, follow me on Twitter. Follow everybody else on Twitter too. I guess them too. They'll get their chances though because I'm the first one. But Happy Yaka with 2 eyes and happy instead of 3. But Happii, aka I would like to have more Twitter followers because I feel like I have like no following given my stance. Like everybody else in T2 has like at least 800 and I have like 550 and I'm very insecure about
No,
it.
personally,
Yeah, you have
I
1,000.
hit 1,000
Yeah,
the other day.
'cause
so
you're
I
Was
don't
that
have
before
that.
you're
or
a
after
pretty
the
girl
bot
and I'm
purge?
just a guy who exists.
This was
like,
after.
This was
Yeah.
after. Okay, so it's legit now.
Yes.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Happy,
Oh, yeah. You
you're,
tweeted that, and I was like, wait a minute. This was like I just got a bot purge. I just lost 150 followers, and you gained. Like you're just different.
Dude, I went from over 1,000 to like 970. Dude, I'm pissed.
Dude, I went from 700 to 550. I lost so many. It was crazy. I got purged, bro. So yeah, follow
You
my
did.
Twitter. I follow most people back if I know who they are because
Mhm.
I don't like egoing. I know how it feels egoed. If I know who,
Yeah.
I'll probably follow you back. So
His Twitter handle will be on
get
the
my line.
screen unless I forget
Yay.
to do it.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. Twitch, Happy Aka on Twitch. No 2 eyes there, just 1. I want to start streaming more. I've streamed SI Claws. I don't know what they're doing with closed, but maybe I'll get a chance to stream that too. They probably got a lot of games going on at once.
Mhm.
So I had a lot of fun watch partying, and it's something I want to do more of. So
Yeah.
follow me on Twitch and Twitter. That's really all in terms of following stuff. But if you want to like cast, send me a DM. I'll try and refer to you to whoever I can, because like casting, observing, anything like that, it's a lot of fun, and I do want to like get more people involved because I remember when I was there for so many years when I just was too scared to reach out to anybody. Please reach out to me if you're interested in doing something like that. Don't reach out if you're just gonna troll me, but like if it's something that you genuinely think is kind of something you think would be fun, like reach out. I'll connect you with whoever. We can do feedback if you want feedback. I always do that too.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's kind of it. Hope everybody has a good night and God bless and all that just corny stuff. So yeah, I hope you join us in T3 Prod. We have a lot of fun. It's
have a lot of fun.
genuinely been one of the most fun experiences of my life.
It's good.
Oh,
It's good.
absolutely.
I have a
great.
great time.
Personally, if you follow my Twitter, you get 20% siege related and then 80% of whatever.
Shooting for a banger.
What do you mean
Fishing
shooting?
for a banger.
I am nailing
You kind
those
of are, dude.
motherfuckers.
You kinda
Okay,
are.
I'm not searching
you're
for
fish-
bangers. I just come up with something and I'm like, I want to
Let's see.
tweet this.
1K likes on one about the Gabe Newell.
Yeah.
Let's see.
These
33.
tweets
You had
are
one
pretty
that
good.
you literally had one. Yeah, 66,000 likes
Yeah.
on the
Casual.
Luigi Mangione
Dude,
one, bro.
there is like some game that was announced, and she asked me to like edit a file for her and send it to her, like a video, so she could post it from her phone.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
And I named the fucking file VU short just to see how long it would take her to notice.
I never saw that
No,
until you
did,
mentioned it. Did I?
Because you said thanks, then like 5 minutes later I got a message that said fuck you.
That sounds like something I do. So, yeah. I will ego you. Anti-happy over here.
She egoed
So-
me. She still doesn't follow me back.
That is blatantly untrue. Calm down. Okay.
But it was
I have
funny to
no
say.
It is. I mean, it's funny to say. It's funny to lie about things. I guess sometimes. I have no
Professional
idea.
gaslighter.
It's funny sometimes to lie. It's always
I
funny.
have stated that multiple times. That sometimes it is just funnier. Like a joke will be funny even if it's not true. Like it's okay. It just as long as people are laughing and they don't have to think about that stuff. Complications about life, truth, whatever, doesn't matter. Follow me on Twitter. It's cool, and also, it's cool.
I just remember we could do shout outs. Shout out to Stan.
I
Shout out
agree.
Stan. We
Shout out
had
to
him on.
Stan.
He's great.
Shout out to Sirius. Shout out to Jay's Wills. Shout out to, Time
I
to
guess I
Light
should do that.
and
Yeah.
Fallen Griffin. Shout out to all of the fallen soldiers who didn't make it to T3, who we've met along the way. 07, you will be missed. I don't know. My brother watches these sometimes. I highly doubt he got the 2 hours in though. Shout out to my brother. Shout out to Brady.
Does he watch the show?
He watches not the show, but he watches
Oh.
things that I'm involved in sometimes.
Damn.
He does not know, dude. My whole family is just like very traditionally like very normal. I
think
played like varsity wrestling or volleyball or softball or baseball or whatever, and I just like they do not touch video games outside of like casual Fortnite with their friends or maybe like Madden or 2K. So what I do is very much not like the rest of my family, and they have no clue what's going on, but they're just kind of like, yeah, you.
Have
But no, they're
fun.
very
Yay.
supportive.
Money.
So yeah, they are
Woo.
genuinely very supportive. I wouldn't be here if my mom was not okay with me screaming my ass off at midnight some
Shout
nights.
out Happi's
So
mom.
shout out to my family. Shout out to my mom. You guys have streamed before. Shout out to my family. Shout out to my dog. I don't know.
Okay, that's. You don't need to shout out everybody.
Okay.
Shout out everybody. It
Like I
loses
do.
the meeting.
All
Yeah,
right,
I know.
I guess I will shout out Ali. Been very helpful with everything. Nice to talk to. Rin47, my goat. Currently unemployed, so I could just play any games at any time with them. Love that.
Also,
Shout out.
Also in detail on the tier list I talked about earlier, in case you were wondering.
Yeah,
along with Happi.
numbers in the name. Zayshow, one of my best friends within the production scene. I can't. So I got you. It's good. No, I got you. We got the shout out. I can't wait to meet him in Boston. It should be great. And then shout out to Lynx, because Lynx has always been one of the people that I can rely on for feedback. They've been somebody that like has kind of been a little bit of a link between tier 1 and tier 2, because they were in tier 2 for the longest time. They're one of my favorite casters to listen to. I will always unmute the broadcast when I know that they are casting. So those are probably the most important people that in my life currently that have helped with everything. And it's
Fellow for me too.
Yeah.
What
Fellow
Lynx
is
to me,
also
Fellow
one
is
of those
for me.
people, yeah.
Fellow was always down to do feedback. Always down for that.
Yes.
Jonah's given me feedback. Lynx has given me feedback before as well. I was still doing color, but I would not be where I was without Fellow being willing to be open with me and be the one to tell me like, hey, work on these things. Let's work on that. Learn. He taught me how to do color when I was still first learning how to do it and how to look at the game when you do color. It's so big shout out to him. And I promise that's my last one.
You sure? You got a goldfish?
I don't know.
No.
I already said God bless. Shout out Jesus Christ.
Shout out
The
my
big
boy
man
Jesus.
upstairs.
Woo.
All right, well, thank you everyone for joining us. All of their social media will be linked in the description. I'm gonna put Happy's at the bottom though for fun, even though the guests are usually at the top. I might not do that.
Alright.
It depends on if
He's gone.
No. I don't know if he's joining back. I guess not.
I
I
don't
don't know.
I don't know either.
He's committing to the bit at the very least.
I respect.
Okay.
All right,
Well-
he's gone. Good.
Well, thanks
Show must
everyone
continue.
for watching. It's unfortunate that some of us died along the way. So
Drag me back. There we go.
Hello.
Was the bit? Are you on your phone now?
Give it up for the funny mic, everyone.
Buddy Mike.
Yeah. I know I bother these people, but they're great, and they're good friends of mine, so you should go follow them. Unmute the broadcasts when they're casting.
Yeah, that.
Please. Thank you.
That would mean a lot.
It's really cool, if you do. Yeah, I'm bad at the outros. But anyways, good night, everyone. This episode is now 2 hours and 15 minutes, so it's the longest one by far. If you made it this long, I'll mail you a penny. I don't fucking know. And that's where it ends.